only one thing that can bring this world together, and that begins with you. The word begins with you, not you. I'm gonna tell you what word it is. Usury. On the dance floor. Get that ass up. Bankers, get on the floor. Bankers, make the people poor. Bankers, get more paid. Bankers, get more paid. Get more paid. I wanna see your ass poor. CEOs, yeah, I'm talking to you. Get more hoes, get more paid, get more votes, get more laid. I wanna see the CEOs ruining lives to the beat. Ruin those lives in 141 BPMs. Oh yeah. Sweet cream. Sweet cream. Where's the interest rates? I wanna see the banker on the floor. I wanna see your ass poor. Make it clap. Make it fiat clap. Shake that ass. Usury. On the dance floor. Make the people poor. Bankers, get more paid. Bankers, get more laid. Only one thing can bring this world together. Destruction of the middle class. And more fiat cash in my bank account. Bankers, get on the floor. Bankers, make the people poor. Bankers, get more paid. Bankers,
Could you make me an espresso? Okay, we're gonna open it up. Let's keep it on topic. 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. Icons are idolatry. J, but J, can I talk? But it was an ex-cathedra. If God is real, why does he allow evil? Why do you pray to dead people? Traditions of men, it's a no-brainer. You're such a tyrannical reigner. Is this your first time on the interwebs? Jamie! I need a change or two. Can't take it, these low-tier slow boys. Is this your first time on the interwebs? Jamie! I need a change or two. Was that an uncreated foot fart? Unmute, dude. Stop repeating my name, dude. You goobers call in, or I'll boot you. Where did we get the Bible from? Have you read the canons of Franzia? What are you, Catholic? Are you Protestant? I'm not trying to be mean, but do you have an actual argument? There is only one church. You are in a cult. You're a goblin, a demon, a boomer tard. Quick question. Do we have any Diddy-back venerators in the chat? Oh! Is this your first time on the interwebs? Jamie! I need a ginger too. Can't take it, these low-tier slow boys. Is this your first time on the interwebs? Jamie! I need a ginger too. If you're a wine mom, front of the line. Unmute, dude. epistemic justification. That argument is circular and you are refuted. Is this your first time on the interweb?
You are in a cult. You are not in a church. You invented your own church.
Excuse me, you're just making an assumption that all the saints agree.
They do. They do. I can go read them. You have no saints. You're a goblin, a demon, a boomer tard. A demon, a boomer tard.
You're just making an assumption.
You're a goblin, a demon, a boomer tard.
Excuse me.
A demon, a boomer tard. You're a goblin, a demon, a boomer tard. Have no saints. A boomer tard.
Excuse me.
A demon, a boomer tard. A demon, a boomer tard.
You're just making an assumption. Are all the councils inspired and inerrant?
The ecumenical synods, yes.
So all the ecumenical synods are inspired and inerrant.
Correct.
How do you know?
Because the Holy Spirit leads us to know the truth.
How do you know the Holy Spirit leads you to know the truth?
Because they're in accord with all the other ecumenical doctrines, all the other testimonies of the saints and the scriptures.
You're just making an assumption.
You're a goblin, a demon, a boomer tard. A demon, a boomer tard.
You're just making an assumption.
You're a goblin, a demon, a boomer tard.
Excuse me.
A demon, a boomer tard. You're a goblin, a demon, a boomer tard. Have no saints. A demon, a boomer tard.
Excuse me.
A demon, a boomer tard. A demon, a boomer tard.
You're just making an assumption.
You're a goblin, a demon, a boomer tard. A demon, a boomer tard.
Excuse me.
A demon, a boomer tard. A demon, a
Until the monkey, you climbed up in that tree. What you doing up there? Why you scared? Why you running from every debate? You ran from Andrew and from me. Not till the monkey, you like they female monkeys with their bananas between their trees, hanging down upside down from that's a smile.
Sweet, sweet music to my ears.
It's a smile.
Y'all feeling it?
Now tell a monkey what you doing to me. Dilla monkey. Dilla monkey.
I'm not a huge fan of AI slop, but every now and then there's a banger, and this is one.
What you doing to me? Dilla mama monkey.
What's up, everybody? How y'all feeling? You ready to get slashed and burnt? Ooh, boom roasted. Welcome, everybody. Hit like and share. Tell your grandmother to come chat and debate. She's about to get pre-supped. I specialize in refuting grandmothers and aunts. They don't fight back. I'm gonna precept your grandma today, and you can't do nothing about it because you're faking gay. I'm about to tag your granny. Oh, tag on your granny, tag on your aunt, tag on your granny. Tag on your aunt, refuting senior citizens. Being mean for the sake of being mean. Proving all the libs right. That I'm mean for the sake of being mean. All right. I missed a few super chats last time because they came in towards the end. I'm going to read those. Jewish Skeptic, $5. I have to get back to Word. I don't know if you answered my last donut chat. If it was too hot for the YouTube, blessed dormition to you and Father Deacon Ananias. Let me see what the last one was. Maybe I missed it. Mind Hack, $50. I think I missed that one. Excuse me, Mind Hack. That was my mistake, dog. I think, Jewish Skeptic, your super chat came in at the end of 2 streams back, and I read it at the beginning of the next stream. Because I only have a limited amount that I can scroll back, and I don't see it. So, pardon me, ma'am. Mr. Blanc was $2. Dyer is clowning crazies. Now we read that one. I know I missed a couple in here. Let me see. Rudy, $5. Jay, I'm inquiring into orthodoxy. Is this music too loud? I can never get the... I want a little bit of background tunes to chill me out, you know? Because a lot of y'all be setting me off. A lot of y'all be getting my diabetes and my blood pressures up. Because of the low IQs mainly. A lot of slow boys and especially slow women in the chat. No offense to women. But I do have my Mormon study Bible and my Muslim study Bible ready to go. See, I got my Mormon study Bible right here. I got my Quran study Bible right here. We got it all ready. And I wanted to show y'all a little treat that came in the mail that's going to be very beneficial for this weekend's round 2 with Tim Gordon. With your boy Tim Gordon. Tim Gordon. We will be back in Miami on Elijah Schaefer this weekend for round 2 with Tim Gordon. What did I get? Well, you guys heard the interview we did. Is this music too loud or is it good? Look at this beast, dude. I didn't realize this is such a high quality beast of a book. Check this out. This is volume 1. And this is all papal deviations in this beast of a book, dude. Oh, dude. Whoa. It's heavy. Look at that. Errors of the Latins, volume 1. This is a game changer, dog. Right here. This is the first 700 pages, 750 pages of contradictions. And this one is dealing with praxis, sacraments, and history contradictions. 750 pages. Uh-oh, is that it? Is that all we got from our boy George? No. This beast, this overweight fatty with a PH beast right here. Volume 2. Thank you, babe. Another, how many pages? 550 pages on the forgeries. Can you believe that? Volume 2 is just forgeries. Volume 1 is all the theological and sacramental alterations of Rome before and after the first millennium. So look at that. It's more like a lexicon, exactly. And it's like super high quality. I've never seen this high quality of a product from Uncut Mountain. Not that I don't like the other books. Usually the books are pretty good. But I don't know what Tim Gordon thinks he's going to do. So people have been asking, like, what's the solution and the answer to, like, Western right, Augustinian obsessed people and Ibarra's book and Lofton's book. Well, we now have a massive encyclopedic response from our side. So, of course, we interviewed George back when Sneck hooked up with him. Not in a gay way, just hooked up with him, like met him. And we did an interview 6 years ago on the channel. And he had begun work on the book at that time, and it ended up being a much larger project that turned into this 6-7 year beast. This is a beast, dude. I mean, everybody needs to get these. These are available at Uncut Mountain, Errors of the Latins, Volume 1 and 2. And I've already been kind of going through here and picking out some sections that are going to be perfect for the Tom Gordon debate. What would he do if I just started calling him Tom? Would it like get in his head like a psyop? Calling him Tom Gordon all the time. And I do intend to get back to this. I was a little under the weather the past few days. I had a bit of a minor cold. But we are going to do the second half of this very soon. Guys, you can call in on the Twitter link. And it will be posted in the chat. And it's in the show description. Consistently throughout this live stream. There's the link right there. Hit request to speak. I'll bring you up. If you disagree, you go to the head of the line. Please don't ask me the average sort of inquiry catechumen questions unless we get through the people who disagree, and then we'll do that maybe towards the end. Still enjoying the John Coleman Socialism book. It was very prophetic, very accurate, way ahead of its time. He pretty much called everything exactly as it's happened. Somebody said, how come you talk about Fabian socialists, you won't talk about Zionists and the Rothschilds? And the book talks about both, and I talk about both. So, but I'm wise about how I talk about things. Why is my spa music not playing? There we go. There we go. I need a little bit of that 60s spy vibe going. Again, I know it's AI slop, but the only way I can play music and chill out is if I play non-copyright AI slop. Now I've got a bunch of stacks over here. We can get into anything we want. Look at this big bad boy. We haven't even been able to get into this yet. I bought this somewhat expensive, might have been $50. Bruce R. McConkey's classic Mormon Doctrines book, and it came all covered in Mormon stank. I mean, it was filthy. I bought a used copy. It's filthy. I had to wipe it down with vinegar and alcohol to clean the Mormon demons off of it. It's still got Mormon demons inside of it, though. But we haven't even been able to use this. No Mormons have actually called in yet to where we could go to. And I've got all the sections marked, too, that are pretty good. Like, God the Father was a dude. Became God, but he's still a dude. Admission of the doctrinal change on black people. Pre-existence of souls. Eternal matter. I mean, all the classics. Infinite regress. All the classics. Mormon's greatest, Joseph Smith's greatest hits in one collected volume. All the classics including God was a man. Black people are demons. Is that right? So maybe we'll get some mystical Mormon. Is this a mystical ape? That's not. Well, actually, Cain is Bigfoot, so maybe that is a Mormon. Mystical ape is Bigfoot. Is Cain? Could be. Who knows? It's hot in here. I gotta turn the fan on. Hold on. Y'all like this 60s spy vibe, or you like the Japanese? That was the foot fart, by the way. That's not me farting all the time. So if I sit on my leg, it gets sweaty. And then when I scoot, it makes that sound. And you all go crazy thinking that I'm just ripping farts all day long on live streams. I got better things to do than just rip farts on a fart stream. We could just call it a fart stream. And then I'll start my OnlyFans and make a lot of money. Because a lot of y'all are just weird, dude. Y'all got a lot of weird people getting off on weird stuff. It's too gross to even talk about. What is wrong with y'all? Get off the internet, man. We're spending too much time on the internet as human beings. I forgot the super chat. Jacob Cabay, this is a question for FDA. No, we asked that last time. That was about what are the things that turn you gay. Rudy, $5. Jay, I'm inquiring into Orthodoxy. I read in Eusebius that the early bishops of Jerusalem, from the apostles until Hadrian, were Hebrews who carefully observed the law. How does the Orthodox Church understand this? I have not read that in Eusebius. I'm not saying that you are wrong, but I don't know what it means to observe the law and like in what sense. I mean, Orthodox Christians observe the law. Maybe he means the calendar issue in the controversy of Quartodeciminarians. It's possible that the Bishop of Jerusalem was on the wrong side of that controversy. I don't know. But that would seem to be contrary to Acts 15. So I'm not sure in what sense Eusebius is talking about the law. Also, by the way, you should understand that while Eusebius is a patristic writer, unfortunately Eusebius was a semi-Arian, and so we don't exactly follow Eusebius too far. I mean, he's a relevant historical witness, but he was also heterodox. So Eusebius is kind of in that class of Tertullian and Origen. They're relevant historical figures and writers, or they're ecclesiastical writers and historians, but they are not saints or Orthodox church fathers for us because they all ended up in heresy. Wayward Frequency, $5. Let's get smashed. Yes, please come smash me. Not in a sexual way, all you disgusting pervs. Ozzy, $5. No more tears. Ryan Maya, $1. I was baptized in the Greek church, but if the ecumenical patriarch is excommunicated, will they recognize my baptism? Yes. Only after the excommunication will they not. Anonymous, $1. You missed my super chat under Anonymous. Alright, I'll scroll back and find it. JD, 135. What do you call a Chinese woman with ha ha ha? Not going to read that. I may start instituting the I'll only read your super chats over a certain amount rule. A lot of people do that. Because it just... People put in stupid shit for $1, and then you're stuck reading all this dumb stuff for 30 minutes. I might just read it only $5 and above from now on. I don't know. We'll see. Daedalus 7, $20. Excuse me, I think I missed that. Okay, here's some of the ones I missed. Skooma Bear, $10. What is the name of the Soviet spy that said his orders came from bankers in Washington? I think you mean Christian Rakovsky, who was a Trotskyite, and he was arrested by the NKVD. It's called the Red Symphony. But it's not bankers in Washington. It's just the Rothschilds is who he's talking about. So just look up Red Symphony by Christian Rakovsky, and it is purported to be an interrogation of a committed Trotskyite, the socialist president of Bulgaria, Christian Rakovsky, by the NKVD. And I think I did a whole talk on it. Yeah, there's a whole talk on it on my channel. Eric Vigilant, $5. I'm officially Orthodox catechumen. Thank you for showing me the world of Orthodoxy through the debate with you and Sam Shamoon versus the Muslims. Well, that's great, man. I'm glad to hear that. ICal0, $3. Jim Bob reacted to Matt Powell. He made a wacky critique of Orthodoxy. I knew him in high school. I would recommend watching it, even though it's low tier. Yeah, I mean, probably 50 people, no, not 50, maybe 20 people sent me this, and it's, I mean, honestly, like, 7 years ago, we were doing a lot of these responses to every few weeks, there was some dumb Protestant low-tier critique. It's just, it gets old, because it's just repeating the same old stuff, like, would call no man on earth father. You shall have no graven images. Where there's one mediator between men and God, the Lord Jesus. It's like the same, like these low tier Protestant arguments have been responded to ad infinitum, and I can't keep doing that forever. It's too boring. I mean, everything that is in that video, I haven't even seen it. I guarantee you everything that's in that video, I have videos on. So just look at or just go to the Clips channel, man. If you don't want to go through my stuff, just go to the Clips channel. Jordan, $5. Do you have any recommendations on books on the lives of the saints or spiritual works? Therapy of Spiritual Illnesses is a good one. With Herothios Vlachos, or excuse me, with Larche, excuse me. Steve McLovin, $5. Did you see that Pope Leo is including the SSPX in the Jubilee calendar? I did see that. Plug your camera in. It is plugged in. I'm not sure what to make of that. I think Benedict did this where he, did all these overtures that were trying to reach out to the SSPX back in the time of. I mean, that's back when I was going to the Latin Mass, or was becoming more and more trad back under Benedict. And all that did was kind of further sort of put a wedge down the middle of the SSPX, with people preferring the Seda position versus people who were kind of wanting to get out of this halfway house contradiction and go back to Rome. And a lot of the SSPX people at that time ended up just going to the FSSP, who didn't want to be outside of jurisdiction. So it's probably some overture to bring them back into full communion, whatever the hell that is. Roman Catholics have this idea of like half communion or whatever that is, but that's how they justify this nonsense that like Protestants are like 30% in communion with the papacy. Orthodox are like 70% in communion. Muslims are like 10% in communion. It's just really retarded. I mean, I'm just kind of like at this stage where I don't understand what is going through people's heads. I don't get it. I guess the only thing I can come to is, other than like everybody's being made really dumb by the toxic culture and all this stuff going on, stabbies, food, slop on the internet. There's a spiritual delusion that it's just like people just don't have discernment. The leaders they choose are not based on any kind of basic discernment skills. It's really weird. So I don't know. I don't even know what to say anymore. I feel like it's time for me to just break up with most people. Like, we're not dating anymore. We had our time. We had our fling. And, it's time for us to become an elite clique over here. That's what I'm trying to say. We are the 1%, the elite. We are the movers and the shakers. Okay, we're the 1% crypto bro money masters over here. I'm just kidding. I don't know what else to say. What else would we be over here? Open-minded daily grind, $5. Why do they call them palm trees if they don't look like palms? Ain't no one having funky palms like that. That dude's bringing a different vibe to Super Chats. Definitely bringing a different vibe to Super Chats. 6 of spades, $20. Here's my free fee for lurking here for a long time. Thank you for what you do, Mr. KGB. Cheers, everyone. Hey, thanks, dude. Appreciate that. And shout out to the new members. 6 of spades, Chris Alexander, Gorilla Biscuits, and Silver Ogre. We got some new members in the house. Welcome, everybody. Bitcoin rumors are weird. Don't listen to rumors. What are you talking about? Listen, everybody that listened to me, and I'm not telling you what to do with your money, but if you thought my ideas were good ideas, we're up like 36x from 2017. I was looking in 4 years, it's like a 10x in 4 years. Go back to 2017, it's like a 36x. So, ain't no reason to FUD the Bitcoins unless you just low IQ. But when I read comments, and by the way, I do want to talk about dead internet theory a little bit, because I'm having a harder time figuring out what is real on the internet now. I mean, it's just getting crazier and crazier and weirder. And we did a Dead Internet Theory coverage video 3 years ago. A whole live stream 3 years ago on it. So we were fairly ahead of the curve. I wasn't the first to talk about that. There were some other live streams that talk about it. I know it goes back to like 4chan theories and all that. The original theories are kind of ridiculous, right? It's like, oh, everybody on the internet after 2016 is a bot and it's all fake. I mean, that's schizo level stuff. But they were onto something with the coming alterations that we did see at the time of 2016 that I think Google began to make due to the nonsense of Russian collusion and that the bots that the Russians bought were changing the election results. Just super dumb. I mean, you have to be like committed boomer tard Democrat to believe that. Are we 100x from the low of 2017? That's possible because I don't know what the low of 2017 was, but I'm thinking from the time I started buying. I started buying at around 2,000 or 2,500. I can't remember if I bought it at 2,000 or 2,800, but it was pretty low. But yeah, if you go from like whenever, I'm sure in 2017 at one point Bitcoin was 1,000, so that's probably 100x. But anyway, I mean, why am I talking about dead internet theory? Because I see bots now that are pretty sophisticated arguing very precise things. And I don't know how this works or how they do it. But I'm pretty sure even a lot of the things that I see responding to me, just trying to start crap, just trying to, stoke nonsense. Like, yes, I understand that some people I might have blocked in the past can create a new profile or whatever. But there's a lot of bots in a lot of comments that are new profiles with no followers and like a few comments, literally like very precise in their replies. So that to me suggests that botting has gotten really sophisticated. And remember, bots can now have entire conversations with bots that seem legit. Now, if you talk about crypto, for example, you will immediately see this in your videos. Anytime I do a video that discusses Bitcoin, it's inevitable that underneath I will get the gibberish crypto bots talking and arguing with one another. In fact, the last time I had to delete a entire discussion of all bots that most of us, probably 40 and under, would recognize as fake. Boomers would believe this. They'd be in there trying to argue with the crypto bots. Like, I can't get the Bitcoin out of my Game Boy. How do I get the Bitcoin out of the Game Boy and into the ATM to get the Bitcoin dollars out? Right now, they're not going to be able to spot the bots. But I will say, though, that like the bots are getting more sophisticated than they were like 10 years. Remember 10 years ago on Facebook, you would get on Facebook and it would be like 10 butts that are trying to befriend you. I was like, oh shit, I already had like 5 butts as my friend. I guess I'll take another 10 more butts as my BFFs. More like face butt. And it would just, I mean, I'm joking. Obviously those are bots too. Because like, how many butts are actually on profiles on Facebook? Not very many. But we're no longer in the butt befriending phase. We're in the, it's still annoying and it's dumb. And you can spot it, but it's sophisticated enough that a lot of people fall for it, is what I'm trying to say. And then I'm noticing, right, and Twitter seems to be really bad about it because remember for a while there, for like a year, as soon as you put anything up, it's like the OF bots were immediately there posting gibberish and butts and prawn. And now I get the crypto bots on my Twitter too, immediately pushing gibberish, scam coins, and whatever else. So they changed the algorithm in 2016. Also, by the way, people forget that I'd forgotten this, that a big part of the change of the internet was not just the rise of Facebook, which happened to come the day after they had shut down that DARPA program called LifeLog. So LifeLog was this tracking and tracing post 9/11 gibberish nonsense that people forget, that was pioneered by DARPA, and it was then shut down because of libertarian criticism at the time, the very next day, right? Facebook premieres Facebook, and it just happens to be the privatized identical version of what the DARPA program was, right? So that was the beginning of the downfall of the classic internet that we all knew. The next phase, though, was when, I think it was around, I just looked this up, it was like, I don't remember the exact year, but it was like 2011 or 12, I think it was 2011, where Facebook decided to institute an algorithm that was no longer going to show you your friends' post, but what they thought you needed to see. In other words, a version of the For You that we all love to hate now. This was the beginning also of the end, because now face butts were feeding you mainstream news that you didn't even ask for in your feed. That was the beginning of algorithmic deciding of what you need to see. And they pushed it like, oh, but it's going to be awesome because it's going to help you choose like what would be great for you. And there is a plausible element to this because, for example, if you have YouTube Music, which is actually really good, that algorithm actually works pretty good to find other selections like what you like. All right, so the idea isn't bad. It actually kind of makes sense. It saves you time in terms of like tracking down and trying to find some cool song that used to take maybe, I don't know, hours to hear something new that was cool. But the trade-off is, oh yes, you see now the algorithm will control everything. And so that then led to the next phase of the era of Trump, which became the justification for everything has to change in terms of the internet because of the Russian bots and the Russia collusion stuff. Now, we all know, as I said day one, that that was all fake and gray. Even though it's all fake and gray, all of the algorithmic destroying of the internet stayed in place. Well, of course it did, because that was just a pretense. The Trump nonsense was just a pretense for basically the destruction of the internet as we all knew it. And here's the funny part. The so-called bots that were influencing boomers to vote for Trump because of little tiny squares on Facebook that the bots were buying out of Moldova, which supposedly swung the election. Ironically, it's the same system and establishment that is flooding with bots everywhere, I believe, to create a synthetic fake and gray internet. Now, what's the basic level? Yes, there's a basic level to where your data is being sold to push ads to sell crap to you. That's like layer one that normies get to, right? If you watch a lot of YouTube videos about dead internet theory, it's a lot of soy normies and they're like, it's a conspiracy to sell you stuff. Wow, mind-blowing. Yeah, data-driven advertising. Yeah, wow. Groundbreaking. Yeah, good job, soy man. But it's really naive to think that that's the extent of dead internet theory's accuracy and purpose. It's obviously about perception management and swaying public opinion. Now, it's not all the bots directed by CENTCOM or the government or whatever. There's other players as well, right? You can go hire, if you're a crypto scammer, you can hire bots to push your scammy crypto coin. So there's a lot of different people doing this, but the botting seems to have basically taken over large portions of where we all now congregate to discuss the issues. And it will also probably be partly the justification for why we're going to have this ID verification internet that's coming. And all of the reasons that they give are not the real reasons, obviously, right? Like, so somebody asked me the other day, they said, are you going to cover the UK because it's actually undergoing a socialist collapse? That's pretty wild. I mean, that's actually, again, John Coleman, conspiracy theorist. I mean, he's been right about pretty much everything. There's a couple of things that he got wrong. Okay, he was writing in the 90s as a boomer. Yeah, he's going to get stuff wrong. I don't think that, what's his name? Adorno wrote all the Beatles songs. Okay, that's over the top. But a lot of the basics that Coleman talks about are spot on. He said there was going to be massive demographic arment that would be done by design. There would be complete open borders eventually by design. He talked about a lot of stuff that would be in place by 2025. So he's spot on about that. I would say he gets a minus in terms of his predictive accuracy. And going back and reading some of his 90s books about what the technocrats have planned is really eye-opening. Anyway, so dead internet theory is seemingly about half right about where we're at right now. And there was just an article that came out a couple days ago that about half of the internet traffic they now believe is bots. And that's everything. So that's making me think, okay, view counts, likes, ad click revenue, like all this stuff is fake. I mean, it's not totally fake. Obviously, we do get an audience over here. We're getting, consistent viewership for the most part. But I noticed, for example, in the last 2 weeks, we were getting on our live streams upwards of anywhere from 30 to 50,000, and now we're back down to 20,000 on average. So, am I going to stop using AI tools? I don't use AI tools except for thumbnails. Is that what you're talking about? And actually, I'm kind of getting tired. I thought it was funny to make the preachers on the AI stuff, but I'm kind of tired of that now, so I might actually not use that. I do like listening to these spy things and the Japanese funk. But let me play you a little bit of this, and then we're going to open it up. Don't worry.
Online network called Internet.
Oh, that's
That little
right.
mark with the A and then
An online network called Internet.
Oh, that's
that little
right.
mark with the A and then the ring around it.
At.
See, that's what I said. Katie said she thought it was about.
Yeah. Oh.
But really, it's a revolution on the internet, the way that these people are getting the information out.
Yeah, it certainly is.
And the incentives of platforms are entirely towards censorship, towards taking posts down.
Every Australian will be locked out of their Google account, their Yahoo account, their Microsoft account until they verify their age, which...
Now, this is what's going on in the UK Commonwealth Dominion lands. They're pushing the ID verification in order to save the children. Yeah, right. The establishment flooded the whole world with degeneracy on purpose, but now we're supposed to believe they care about the children. The same people behind Jeff Stein McCaffrey suddenly care about children. No, this is to basically get rid of the internet as we know it. So this is all part of dead internet theory. Absolutely. And the botting and the AI fakeness is also going to be part of the excuse. So in other words, the assist and the establishment releases this junk. Now everything gets fake and gray. Oh, we don't know. Boomers can't tell if, Tupac and Elvis are standing on the moon in an AI photo with LeBron James and it looks real, and the boomers are confused. Oh, is that really LeBron on the moon? How'd they get him up there? It's AI, dude. It's not real, boomer. LeBron doesn't have 17 fingers on his left hand. But you see what I'm saying? Problem, reaction, solution. They cause the nonsense and then provide the solution that they wanted the whole time. It's the classic establishment move. So when everybody bitches about the free and open internet because of the botting and because of the flooding of the AI slop everywhere, which eventually will get sophisticated enough to where it does look real. Right now it's just fooling like boomers, right? But eventually it's going to get to where you really can't tell, probably. And that will, again, just be the justification to say, well, we don't know what's real and what's not real on the internet. I guess we're going to have everybody prove through identity verification and give us all your data and your information, and we'll also shut you out when you say something mean. That's coming as well, you see. So you notice that each phase of this stuff is just leading to more of what they wanted to begin with. Does that make sense? So advertising and algorithms in 2011 with Facebook, the next stage being the 2016 massive algorithmic changes that Google does because Donald Trump won the election from Russian bots, all of which was fake and made up, but still is in place. And also the coordinated, including intelligence agencies working together with Facebook, YouTube, Twitter to shut down anybody criticizing COOF. That was another phase. That was all admitted. Remember the Twitter files, Twitter leaks, all that stuff? That was all real. That was just one tip of the iceberg. And it was the Atlantic Council telling Facebook, shut all this stuff down, which was just NATO and all the goobers, the goons. So now we're in the next phase, which appears to be the rolling out of what the dead internet theory people predicted, which I don't think actually was going on in 2016, but is more accurately what's happening in 2025, right? So maybe not 2016, but 2026 is where this is really coming to fruition. And now pretty much anytime you search, unless you really alter and choose what and specify with tools what you're searching, it's just, you don't get anything. You just get AI generated crap, and the AI literally is wrong half of the time. And it doesn't matter how many times they like roll out like version 5, versions. I don't use ChatGPT. I use Grok though. Grok still gets basic shit wrong. The only thing that Grok has helped me do is like tech stuff. It has been helpful for that, like actually making all this stuff hook up and work in here, which was a kind of a hassle. It's basically the only thing that it's done for me. Enshittification, that's right. That's the term everybody's using for. They're turning the internet into basically a giant pile of shit on purpose, presumably for this.
I think is quite incredible. I think it's unbelievable, actually.
The internet as we know it is dying. Remember when the internet was a goldmine of discovery? Every click led somewhere new, random websites surprised us, brought us together, and gave us joy. Each corner of the web felt alive with human creativity. But now we're trapped on the same 4 to 5 websites. Half our conversations are with bots we can't even identify, our feeds overflow with ChatGPT generated content, everything looks real, but nothing feels human anymore.
Also, the reliance on these stupid AI things is making people dumb, especially the younger people, because they're now raised on this and they actually just default to it. And we started seeing this a year ago, 2 years ago, maybe even, with people relying on this in debates, right? Even that idiot feminist, the worst debater of all time, not so erudite, literally reads the ChatGPT responses in her debate. Misfit Patriot reading the ChatGPT responses in debate. Just like the gaytheists that I debated, they do the same thing. So this is like literally making people completely stupid, but they think this is an authority.
The dead internet theory originated on Agora Road's Macintosh Cafe, where anonymous users compiled evidence of what they believed destroyed the golden days of the internet. According to the theory, the internet died somewhere around 2016. What replaced it was a manufactured reality where algorithms dictate what we see, serving us sanitized content designed to maximize ad revenue. Online conversations with humans became conversations with bots. And now with generative AI, even the content itself is fake, written by machines, not people. The end game is control. Corporations and governments use this artificial ecosystem to manipulate our purchases, reshape our political beliefs, and enforce conformity. They manufacture consensus, making us doubt.
That's the key. The main purpose is eventually to try to manufacture consensus, especially perception management and nudging, basically, but not human nudging like Cass Sunstein talked about 15 years ago, but bot nudging and kind of pushing people. And that's why, I'll give you an example. I never, ever use the For You. Ever. And I always tell people, do not use the For You, because it's literally designed according to the Silicon Valley people themselves in their books, right? We just did a analysis of Jaron Lanier's book, who helped design some of this stuff that he wrote. When Jamie read it and we did a discussion on that, he said that Silicon Valley is literally run by a cult that believes that they will create a fake god AI and people will believe it and they'll run the cult. And then when you understand the Game B, Teal, Anduril, Palantir, I forget the other one, all this Lord of the Rings stuff, they think they're going to be like the feudal lords over the normies and the dummies that are going to worship their AI god in their mega cities tech dystopia. Now, as you guys know, we cover predictive programming in Hollywood a lot. I was not shocked, but also I was enlightened. And I thought it was very interesting when I watched Alien Earth. I don't know if you guys know, but everybody's talking about the newest installment of the Alien series, which is now a show on FX. It's really good. I mean, I usually don't like sci-fi because it's almost always just the most soy programming. This is actually pretty good. Not even because of like, oh, sci-fi, we got to fly around in space and be gay. No. Because of the themes. So if you've watched the first few episodes of Alien Earth, you notice that it's a future where the world is no longer nation states, but it's actually divided up by 5 or 6 corporations. So instead of countries, you have Weyland-Yutani, you have the Prodigy Corporation, I forget the other ones, but the theme of the series is the battle between the Prodigy Corporation and the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, which is actually a pretty fascinating way to take the Alien franchise narrative. So it's pretty good. But what's interesting is that it's a battle between AI and synthetic humans and androids, and then the bioengineering works of Weyland-Yutani. So Weyland-Yutani is not as interested in AI and androids. They want to focus on the bioengineering stuff. Anyway, I just thought it was really fascinating that, the corporate elites want 6 global countries that are 6 corporations. And that's the future, not the nation state. Could you imagine, like I said, what did the Pope of the Future predict? The Pope of the Future predicted living in a Walmart. Listen, if I'm going to have to live in a corporation city, please don't be Walmart. I don't know. I got to think about what corporation I want to live in, because it's all going to be pretty fake and gay. Anyway, so let's get back to this, because it just reminded me of the tech overlords and basically they want to create this sci-fi Dungeons and Dragons LARPing world where they're the dungeon masters.
Our own thoughts when they don't match the popular opinion we see online. But that popular opinion, it might not even be human. Here's a number that should terrify you. Bots now make up half of all internet traffic, with human activity dropping every year. Some bots are helpful. You've probably chatted with Reddit bots or Discord bots designed to moderate content or answer questions. These are the friendly faces of automation, but they're increasingly becoming the minority. The internet is drowning in malicious bots. Anonymous, untraceable, and multiplying rapidly. They're not here to help. They're here to manipulate.
We're going to go to open calls in a second. If you disagree, you go to the head of the line. We're going to watch a little bit of this, though. So please, guys, how come nobody has patience anymore? Patience. Relax.
Scam and deceive. In Ireland, the situation is even worse. Bad bots account for 71% of all internet traffic. Nearly 3/4 of their internet isn't even human. They're even here in the YouTube comments. This bot is claiming it makes $230,000 every 4 weeks. 19 other bots replied, all claiming similar success. Click on any profile. There's 0 subscribers, 0 posts, account created 3 days ago. Some were made just 9 hours ago. This is a bot network. One person running dozens of fake accounts, programming the bots to talk to each other to create an illusion of credibility. And while it may be easy to spot,
Brother, why you disagree with me, brother? We will run the bot against you. Do not redeem, sir. Sir, why did you do that? Why did you do that? Welp. Mr. Nobody, 40-somethings. What is your favorite TV show? Tell me about The Wire. I haven't watched The Wire, I don't think, unless I watched it a long time ago and I don't remember. No, that was some other Canadian series about spies and informants and drug lords. So I know everybody's told me to watch The Wire, I just never gotten around to it. Favorite TV show? I mean, I have several that I really enjoy. Community was really funny. It was a lot smarter and funnier than I expected. I mean, The Office is funny. It's a classic. Psych is one of my favorites. It's a really smart show. Mystery Science Theater is a classic. Riff Tracks is funny. Twin Peaks. Yeah, so those are some of the ones I like. I'm sure there's more that I'm just not remembering. I feel like Parks and Rec is funny. Sopranos is a classic. Anyway, so It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, really funny. Have you watched Mr. Robot? I did. I watched and I thought it was really good, predictive programming, really insightful. But then when it turned into like the open gay scenes, I was like, I don't want to see gay sex, so I just turned it off. Never seen Sons of Anarchy. I'm not into bikers, and biking shit's weird to me. A Panini, 2 pounds. AI test tube, Gub Gub Snail Man, Brave New World time. That's where we're going, dude. You got it right there. Nemo Liberty, $2. Do you think that Leslie Wexner is possessed for real by a Dybbuk? Well, I mean, he says that in the interviews. I believe him. Abine Isaac, $5. Jay, I'm wondering if you've seen Frasier. Well, I mean, I am aware of Frasier. Like, I was in the 90s and the 2000s. I never really thought Kelsey Grammer and that whole vibe was very funny. I mean, I'm willing to maybe go back and give it a chance. In my experience, a lot of 90s things don't hold up very well. Some things do. There's a handful of things that even from the 80s kind of hold up as funny. I mean, Michael Caine and Steve Martin in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels is still funny to me. I did watch season 1 of Ozark. Believe it or not, I've never seen Breaking Bad. I like Vince Gilligan. Oh, X-Files. X-Files is one of my favorites all time, obviously. So I really enjoy it because Vince Gilligan is X-Files, but I never watched... I just didn't get it. I was busy when Breaking Bad came out. I think I was in undergrad or grad school trying to finish up, so I didn't have time to watch a lot of TV shows. I have to say, man, I mean, Community, it's almost as funny. Community, for me, is probably equal to The Office. I mean, there's some really funny Community episodes. And the thing about Community is, like, you'll be thinking about it, you know, like, months later, and you'll be quoting Chang, or you'll be quoting Abed. And, I mean, I never thought I never really thought Chevy Chase was funny, because it's boomer era. But, again, I promise you, because he's the boomer, right? Chevy Chase is like the ultimate boomer. And they make boomer jokes all the time about Chevy Chase. So there is a super chat option. What are you talking about? You can super chat me with Streamlabs. It's pinned in the link. Or you can super chat natively through YouTube. People are super chatting right at this moment. So there is a super chat link. I've never seen Trailer Park Boys. So I've heard that's funny. I've heard The Shield is good. Never watched The Shield. The Americans. That's one of my favorite shows. True Detective seasons 1 and 2 are great. I watched season 1 of Mad Men. It was okay. It was kind of boring. I'm willing to give season 2 a little more, another shot to see if I get more into it. But I mean, I liked the setting and the idea and the writing and all that with Don Draper and that character. And I'm aware of the arc of the character and where he ends up when it, ends with the 60s hippie stuff. But, yeah, we got a lot of trailer park. I take that back, Hubert. You're right. I did like Chevy Chase in the Vacation movies. Those were fun. I did watch that in the 80s and in the 90s. But outside of that, like, I remember watching Fletch when I was like 12 and I thought it was funny, but then I watched Fletch when I was in my 20s and I was like, this is not funny. So a lot of 80s stuff just doesn't carry over to today. Do I like Coen Brothers movies? Yeah, there are several good Coen Brothers movies. I mean, the first one with Frances McDormand is a really good one. Their first movie about the hit that goes wrong. Fargo's good. No Country for Old Men's good. I used to like Barton Fink, but it's a little too depressing. They've got some good comedies too, so. I was kind of looking forward to the new Coen Brothers movie too, except for that I was like, oh, so that's like Aubrey Plaza's playing a lesbian, and it kind of looks like Righteous Gemstones too, so it's like, anyway, I don't know how we got on movies, but Albert Smith, $5. If you like Alien Earth, you might like Altered Carbon. A lot of people have said that. I just haven't had time to get into all of these different shows, and a lot of shows, if they don't really catch me the first few episodes, it's difficult for me to force myself through the rest of it. Yeah, Idiocracy is great. It's prophetic, for sure. House. I watched a few episodes of House, but just never got into it. Aidan Clark. Have you seen 310 to Yuma? Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's a good remake. I liked it. I don't even like Westerns. I think they're super boring. But I do like... There's like 2 or 3 Westerns that I like. That's one of them. Jacob Cabay, $10. I've been trying to tell my cousin and show him that in literature about how our free will is being subverted. He doesn't believe society is controlled. In other words, culture, entertainment, geopolitics. Well, I mean... If people can't read H.G. Wells's short little books and Bertrand Russell's short little books to see that they're admitting it, if he's not going to listen to them in the books, then he's not going to listen to you. So you might as well just move on. Nick Bucci became a member for 6 months. What's up, Nick? Where's the video where you and Jamie talk about the Silicon Valley guy on her page or your page? The Silicon Valley guy. Oh, you talking about the Jaron Lanier book? It's the last stream that Jamie was on with me with Antichrist and Peter Thiel. That's it. I forget the way I titled it something like Antichrist, Peter Thiel, something. It might be a members talk. I don't remember. That's it though. Aliens, $2. Do you have any thoughts on the Roblox child PDF drama? I don't know anything about Roblox. I just heard somebody saying that there's creepers in there talking to kids, but I don't even know what it is. It's a game that is it like Minecraft or something, but the new version of Minecraft. I mean, like, I'm not surprised. I don't know what to say. Are they just trying to meet up with kids? Have you seen any of the John le Carré films? Bro, we've done podcasts on all those. So yeah, of course. Spy Who Came In From the Cold, Tinker Tailor, Most Wanted Man. I mean, we've done shows on all these. It's a poor kid's Minecraft. Second Life for toddlers. Parents need to get more sophisticated and realize what their kids are involved in. That's what I think. People are like opting into the state deciding what's good for your kids. And like, where are the parents like policing their children's internet time? Okay, we don't need Fabian socialist governments in the UK deciding what your kids see and don't see, which really means the Fabian socialist technocratic government will decide what everybody sees. That's what that means. Because they hate your kids. They want your kids gone. They're not protecting your kids, you idiots. Moral Autist, $5. Do you think bots buy super chats, or is that a line they won't cross? I don't know about that, but I do know that people have shown, I think, that what's obvious, that on Twitter, some of the bots were figuring out, or the people running the bots were figuring out that verified accounts that are bots are actually worth it because you get higher up in the algorithm. So in that sense, yes. I don't know that I've ever been super chatted from a bot, though. Osmotic, where can I find a Russia-Ukraine breakdown? I've done several. There was one I did on John Mearsheimer lecture. Just search my channel, Russia-Ukraine. I mean, we've done probably 3, 4, 5. I've done interviews with Patrick Henningsen. I mean, we've probably covered that maybe 5 to 10 times in the last few years. 6 of spades, $20. I'm a bot buying a super chat. Well, there you go. Right there. There's your bot. Jake Wickbait, $5. Your legacy will prevail, especially the tools and the knowledge that you provide. Hope to meet up with you in real life. I've been listening for a decade. Well, guys, I want to remind you that we do have a live event coming up. The Ledwell conference has sold out. All 200 tickets sold out there. But we will have our own conference in November. And it's right here. And Dr. David Patrick Harry just joined us for this conference. He will be speaking as well. Myself, Father Deacon Ananias, Father Vladimir, Metropolitan Jonah, Jamie, my wife, and I think another priest that I'm not familiar with that I think Father Vladimir is going to invite. So this will be the Athens and Jerusalem conference. As you know, that's a famous quote from Tertullian, what hath Athens to do with Jerusalem? And we will be discussing the relationship between Orthodox philosophy, art, and life. And that will be everything from aesthetics, iconography, living, apologetics, all of that. And it's a 2-day conference this time. It's a bigger event. We will have a larger church. Actually, we're going to be busting out another wall at our church. This is the second wall that we're busting out because we're growing. We're busting at the seams. And we actually think that we can accommodate more people now as a result. So I'll put this link in the chat. November 21st and 22nd. 2-day conference. We had our first conference earlier this year. And it was a lot of fun. I think we had about 60, 70 people come to our first conference. FDA came down. I don't think he'd ever been to Florida. So it was his first time down here. And it was me, Father Deacon Ananias, Father Theodore, and Father Vladimir all gave talks in a single-day conference. We met a lot of the new prospective inquirers and catechumens in this area of Florida. A lot of fun. But this will be a larger 2-day conference, and we'll have Bishop Jonah as well. So it's also a little more prestigious. Hopefully we can sell. We'd like to try to get to 150, but we'll take 100, 120 if we can. But the reason it's a little bit more is because it is a 2-day conference. It's not a single-day conference. But if you're interested in Orthodoxy, this is for you. Also, I'm not going to say anything, but I did talk to a Protestant that you all know. And no, not giving any names or any hints, but there are some Protestants that are interested in Orthodoxy that you might know of. And who knows, maybe they'll show up at this conference. And so good things are coming, good news. Remember that I will be up at the Ledwell conference, but unfortunately it's sold out. But I think there might be other events and other dinners and whatnot that you might be able to come chill. And I will have books. So even if you're not able to attend the Ledwell conference, but if you did want to come get books or get signed things, I can probably still accommodate that, even if I can't get you into the Ledwell conference because it's sold out. So anyways, there's the tickets there, and we've got this one planned way ahead of time. Instead of 6 weeks like I usually do, this one is 3 months ahead. Let's see, what else is going on? Let me make sure I'm not missing super chats. Bonantium Emperor $3. Do you think multiverse movies are being pushed as social engineering? Yes, I did 2 live streams on this. I think when I covered Doctor Strange, the last Doctor Strange, Multiverse Madness, that's the very thing I said in that podcast. Recent, quote, science has moved away from Big Bang, and they're pushing towards ex nihilo creation, so they've had to pivot towards... Yeah, in fact, I think even with John Adams, and, you know, we used to do podcasts. We were doing Afternoon Commute podcast with John Adams like 10 years ago, and we were talking about how quantum theory and multiverse is metaphysics for atheists. So that's exactly what's going on. Tribe Called Jake, $20. Did you see the Waco miniseries with Michael Shannon? No, I've not seen that. I didn't know about that. It's one of my favorites. Well, I will say that I'm not a huge fan of Michael Shannon, but he's in John le Carre's Little Drummer Girl series about Mossad, which is really good. And Florence Pugh plays the sort of MK Ultra Delta sex kitten that's recruited into that. It's a great John le Carre series that they updated to make it more present day. And it gets into the sort of engineered dialectic between, you know, the Palestinian conflict and the time when they were being courted by Soviet socialist ideology, and then the neocons and the Mossad and all of that. It's a really great spy series. Tinker Tailor, Little Drummer Girl, which is a John le Carre novel. But I did a podcast on that, and of course nobody watches these podcasts. Like everybody, all you guys that tell me the movie and the show to do, we've done it. But maybe because a lot of those I did when the channel was 1/4 or 1/5 the size it is now, maybe it's time to revisit these. Maybe it's time to start going back and doing, you know, Eyes Wide Shut and Alien and, you know, some of these classics. I might do that. Aiden Clark, $2. I'm thinking about watching Star Wars. Is it worth it? Yeah, the first 3 Star Wars, I mean, well, I say the first 3, but you know what I mean, 4, 5, and 6, which those are great. They're classics. Just be sure and watch the sort of the original, you know, the ones that aren't with the CGI updates and all that. That stuff's trash. But yeah, I think you can't, you know, before Disney got a hold of it, it wasn't garbage. They're great movies. They're classics. It's sad that they created such a soy ethos and then Disney took it over and just destroyed it. But that's all probably by design, you know, to make everything just fake and gay. But yeah, I would absolutely. In fact, I don't think we've ever actually done Star Wars on this channel. So maybe it's time to actually do. I don't even know if I would do these new ones. I mean, I might even defend the Hayden Christensen ones. I mean, they're dumb, but they're actually still kind of fun. But after that, it's just like, I mean, Rogue One is okay as a movie. The Han Solo one was all right, I guess. But I have to say though that Jeremy Piven, he did pretty good with Mandalorian. Mandalorian's not bad, but anything else is pretty rough, dude. It's pretty fake gay. But yes, absolutely, like, you know, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. I mean, just from a movie perspective, you know, they're some of the most important, greatest works of art in terms of movies, for sure. I'll have to check out. What are your thoughts on Waco, given the Michael Shannon drama? I mean, I was watching all of Alex's Waco documentaries, so you know, I'm definitely I feel sorry for the people, and I think that definitely the feds overstepped their boundaries, and they were definitely wanting to do a show of force and be tyrannical, but also that I think that's a crazy cult, obviously. But a lot of people don't know this, but Alex actually raised money to help them rebuild their church. Did you guys know that back at the time? So even though David Koresh is kind of a quack and an insane pre-list maxed out cult leader, like the feds also went nuts there. Ruby Ridge, I don't know a whole lot about, but I would imagine also probably the feds overstepped their boundaries, but it's also hard to know with a lot of these prepper, sovereign citizen, radical, anti-Abobo people. Like, I understand the motivations and their thinking process, but also like there's something about what's realistically possible and not realistically possible. You know what I mean? Like, to take these kinds of actions like that, it's just sort of dumb. It's just like, it's like if I fly over to Saudi Arabia right now and I start preaching in the streets, could I convert anybody to Christ? Maybe. Is it worth it? It's probably not the wisest course of action. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I think a lot of this stuff just takes wisdom. You know what I mean? And unwise radical actions usually don't do much. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say? And also, a lot of times these people are coaxed into radical action by other creeper, idiot-fed groups. Like the whole McVeigh, Elohim City, that was all run by a bunch of feds. And I don't believe the official OKC thing. But at the same time, it's like, what am I trying to say? Cults thrive on times of upheaval and uncertainty, and people are very naive about how the world works, and so they get preyed upon by these things, and not just cults but also feds, and they get enticed and entrapped and lured into radical action because people are dumb, and there's a never-ending supply of dummies who will engage in these actions. And it's interesting because more and more people are becoming aware of this, you would think. At least I tend to think that because of what I see on the internet. And then, I mean, nowadays, like, you've got all the face lords everybody's calling everybody a fed, which is funny because you didn't used to see that, right? That was like, you go back to 2007 era and, like, you know, you're in Ron Paul InfoWars forums and you're seeing Ron Paul supporters talking about the Federal Reserve, and then you're seeing people talk about Zionism, and everybody's calling everybody feds, and that was a very niche thing for people calling everybody feds. And now, like, the face lords of the alternative media, everybody's calling everybody feds. So it's just a weird time. But, like, when I look at, assuming that I'm not seeing bots everywhere, which it could be, that's what I'm trying to say about today. It's like, it's hard to know now what's real and what's not, but, like, people don't seem to have gained much discernment when it comes to who they choose to follow and who their face lords are. I love that term, right? For just people that you see on thumbnails everywhere all of a sudden. It's like, you know, for a while there, Jordan Peterson was like king face lord. Like, you just saw him on every freaking thumbnail everywhere for years. And now we have a new crop of face lords. So fanatics And ideologues and young, dumb people who are idealistic are very ripe for these things, and they haven't lived enough to see that the world isn't really shaped by that kind of stuff. You don't really change the world. You got to kind of be young, dumb, and delusional to think that your little movement or your radical action or your protesting is actually going to change the world. And usually by the time you're 30 or 40, you've kind of wised up. Or you've become the cult leader who then shapes and molds the young minds who are young and dumb into that kind of action. So I don't know. I'm just kind of, I'm yap rambling now, but it's hard not to yap ramble when people kind of ask complicated questions of like, what do you think about Waco and Ruby Ridge? I mean, I can criticize both sides of that. And I've also seen, again, I was on the ground watching and helping somebody do a documentary on the Bundy Ranch, not the Bunny Ranch, the Bundy Ranch stuff. And I saw how the feds and people like run these operations. They're very elaborate. They're done in stages. They're done even over years. And that was all done to undermine the land rights movement. And it worked. And it worked because average normal people don't understand how people are co-opted and entrapped and used. And they probably never will. And every few years, there's a new batch of young dummies who are ripe for the same fall. And it's just like, at the time, I was like, yeah, I would stay away from Seville. And did all the right winger, what were the right, oh, you're a Fed, look at fucking Fed, look at this Dyer's a Fed, he won't come support the right wing. I was like, I wouldn't go anywhere near Seville. Who was right? Oh, I was. But here we are years later. Oh, and I'm still the Fed. I'm still the, even though I have like an awesome track record in calling this stuff. Not everything. I'd say like a 95% track record about this kind of stuff. Do people listen? No. They want to listen to all the other face lords. Well, good luck with all that. And to me, it just says like, okay, just have fun lacking discernment. You get what it's kind of like in Bitcoin, like eventually you kind of get reconciled to like, I'm not going to convince everybody of Bitcoin. I'm not going to convince everybody of Orthodoxy who's Protestant or Roman Catholic. It's like at a certain point, you just say, you stop. You say, go your way. Also, I think that's a level of maturity that a lot of people don't have, in the sense of, and I think this is in the Orthodox world too. It's a part of the Orthodox phronema. Not that you don't care, but it's sort of like people have free will. You can't incessantly mind control and control people to become Orthodox. If people aren't interested in you and they don't want what you're talking about, they don't want your ideas and your message, you just move on. And sometimes that's difficult because you care about people, but like at the same time, it's like, but I gotta have boundaries, and I gotta set and draw lines. And that's something that comes with age and maturity. That's something Peterson too talked about that I think he's correct about. If you watch any of the Jordan Peterson clips on setting boundaries with people, whether it's family, work, relationships, internet, like that's all really solid stuff. I understand the phases also of people waking up to stuff, and then it's like, oh, we were lied to, maybe Tiny Mustache Man's a good guy. I don't believe that. And I did 6 hours of debates with the Tiny Mustache Man followers a few months ago on Twitter. Had a lot of views. And the arguments were just, there was only one guy who had actually had any historical knowledge. The rest of people were just completely retarded. So, like, at the end of the day, if you do debates a lot, it's pretty easy to kind of spot pretty quickly whether or not you're dealing with somebody who knows what they're talking about, or they're just arrogant retards. And I don't have a whole lot of time and patience for just incessantly arrogant retards all the time. So sometimes the best medicine for people is for them to get what they want. Jub, $2. I dropped a new J clip about Heraclitean philosophy and flux. Oh, that's perfect. Thank you, Jub. Everybody check out Jub, Jiub's channel. He's got a lot of great clips on there. A lot of my clips, but also a lot of other people too. Rolf Steaks, $20. Looking back at 2020, what do you think about all the information that was leaked through alternative media about the mainstream media saying that the coup came out of China as a conspiracy? Was that something EMJ was talking about? I don't even know, honestly. Like, I don't know that everybody was like trying. I'm sure everybody was trying to spin it into their own ideological narratives. And so if people who were neocons, you know, for them, China is the only threat and not Israel. It's like they're going to say, oh, it's all about China. China's attacking us and this and that. I mean, I just don't think it's that big of a deal. Like people, all this geopolitical stuff, and that may sound odd because I talk a lot about geopolitics, but like at the end of the day, no, I don't think China is like I mean, there was a Chinese element because obviously Wuhan is there and all this, but lab leak, who knows? Like, I mean, I know that supposedly the CIA has admitted that it was a lab leak and all that, but I mean, they pretty much work together with these entities. I don't really think at the top there's a huge disagreement between the elites in America and China. Cyrus Batama, $5. Do you remember what the live stream was with the tiny? It was a X Space. It wasn't live stream. You can't have a 5-hour debate on YouTube about that, dude. It's on, I think that's now on my Rockfin. So if you go to my Rockfin, it's somewhere on there. It's like a 5-hour debate with all these goobers on Twitter. Is Raptor $2? Your hair is looking fine today, sir. Uh-oh. It's kind of gay, but I'll let it pass. Aiden Clark, $2. What's the best YouTube channel? What is the best way to get a YouTube channel going? Ooh. I mean, if you're just starting, that's a tough question because, I mean, I started my clips channel a couple years ago. And I mean, it was kind of difficult to get to 10,000, even on the clips channel. So that's a tough one because, I don't know, YouTube just keeps kind of changing every few months. It's like there's a new vibe and everything's changing. And I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that. I've heard they're moving away from repeat content, but I don't know because I see other people's clips channels doing well, so maybe that's not the case. But like last couple clips I've uploaded don't even hit 1,000. This one hit 3,000, but I mean this one was difficult to even get to 10,000 followers, so honestly don't know. I hate to not give you a good answer, but like make quality content. Yeah, I mean, it depends on whether you're doing a clips channel, a reaction channel, or your own unique content. If you're doing your own unique content, I would just start by, you know, making 10 to 20 minute videos talking into the camera. You don't even have to use a whole lot of production value, but it needs to be, you know, 1080 and all that. And that will probably get you going. And then if you begin to build an audience and if you can talk for multiple hours and keep people engaged, then maybe you could start, you know, doing live streams and that kind of stuff. So it really depends on what you want to do with your channel and what your channel wants to be. But it seems like people who do niche stuff, they seem to do well. My channel is really old. Like I've been on YouTube since 2007 or somewhere in there. Pretty old, 2008 maybe. So I don't know how it would work with a brand new channel. But it also, again, depends on what topics you're planning to cover. But it seems like some people say that you have a better chance of growing. I don't know if this is true, but people say you have a better chance of growing if you are niche. So in other words, if you're really good at your little niche, that might grow faster, as long as it's a popular niche, right? I mean, if it's like, you know, gay underwater SEAL training, that's probably not many people. So, although that actually probably will take off because everything is so crazy. Somebody, let's see, Remy, $100. Wow, thank you, man. He's winning the super chat battle today. Jay, I want to thank you for helping me come to the faith. I was catechized largely due to your talks and debates. Thanks, man. That's great to hear. What's your favorite psalm or proverb? I go through Proverbs pretty consistently. In fact, I just restarted a jaunt through the Proverbs. So I will listen to Proverbs on audio. There's a lot of chapters that are great. The early chapters up to like 7 that deal with like hoes and thoughts are great. They're classics. Proverbs 11 is a great chapter. 15 is a great chapter. There's a lot of great Psalms. Psalm 2 is a classic. Psalm 32 is great. Psalm 50/51 is great for repentance, obviously. We sing it all the time and pray it all the time in the Orthodox liturgy and prayers. Psalm 110 is great. There's a lot of classic Psalms. The penitential Psalms are also good. So it kind of depends on the mood and what's going on in your life in terms of like what are the appropriate Psalms. Brendan Turner, $5. Independent media, quote unquote, pushes ground news ads are the most incoherent people ever. I don't even know what that is, but I think you're saying that it's like fake independent media with corporate ads and backing. They are in real time advocating against themselves. Big Daddy Bill Gates tells me who is who. Oh, that's like the Bill Gates fake independent media. Okay, that's Bill Gates's fake verification will tell you who the authorities are. Yeah. Sage, $5. Drum Show by 21 Pilots analysis. Drum Show. I think you'll love it, Jay. Okay, I'll take a look at that. I don't know what that is. Is that like anime? I always get anime requests. IMT Drives. Did you hear about the Matt Powell video? Yes. I read your super chat earlier. You knew him in high school. He made an anti-Orthodox video. Yeah. We don't spend a whole lot of time replying to every low-tier Protestant thing because it's just never ending. Aiden Clark, $5. Think about doing true horror, conspiracy, mystery, and history for YouTube. That's what you're thinking about doing? True horror, conspiracy, mystery, and history. Yeah, except that you could probably do better off with true crime and mystery and history because YouTube is not going to favor true conspiracy. I don't think that's going to be favored in the algorithm, but you can definitely experiment with it. But the other stuff sounds like it could work. Okay, let's open it up because I've been yapping for a long time and we did get through some of the stuff I wanted to talk. I've been wanting to talk about dead internet stuff for like the last 2 weeks of streams. I'll give you this girl's video here. She looks like she has overall pretty good content. I've not watched all of her stuff. I've watched maybe 2 or 3 of her videos. Vanessa, she's got a good video on all this AI stuff being bad. Also, look at the video that Jamie and I did on this, where we covered her analysis of Peter Thiel's book, Jaron Lanier's book, but we also covered a lot of what Peter Thiel talks about. Where was it at? I might have made it a members talk. I think I did because it got demonetized. Where's it at? Maybe I didn't. Maybe it is public still. Where's it at? Man, why is it so hard to find stuff on YouTube, dude? This is crazy. Oh, here it is. Technocracy. Peter Thiel on Antichrist. This is it. And there's the dude right there. There's your wook. Your wook that tells you about the AI cult. All right, let's open it up here. Let's see who's in line. Terry? What's up, Terry? Teriyaki, what's up? Terry, you want to unmute?
Yo.
Hey.
Yeah. Hey. Big fan. All your stuff. You've been on the internet for ages. The GOAT. I was just wondering, is going to a Serbian Orthodox fine? I just heard there was like some ecumenist things and whatever with it.
Do what? Say it again.
Is going to a Serbian Orthodox church fine?
I mean, there could potentially be good and bad people anywhere. So, I mean, there might be ecumenists at a ROCOR church. There's no perfect jurisdiction. So, I would just check out all your options.
Okay. And I just have one more question.
Yeah.
I can sort of barely like break into the theology talks because I'm slow and all that, and can't really like discern between things separately. But like, for example, your series refuting the Orientals with Kai and David, but then like Ajin, the Oriental dude, made like response videos to all four of them. So it's just hard for me to discern. Would you ever like debate Ajin or even like the true Orthodox? I'm still discerning between those guys.
No, it's not really worth my time to do that, but I appreciate your question. I would just take your time with trying to suss out this stuff. Isaac, what's up?
Hello?
Yeah, what's up?
What's up? I don't know if you remember me, I asked a question the other day. It was about like the Israelite view of Gentiles in the Old Testament. I kind of wanted to expand on that with you. It's not about the Old Testament, but it's about...
Okay.
So you said that the Israelites had to have that view or whatever because the Gentile nations were trying to destroy them because they were trying to produce the Messiah or whatever and stuff like that. But what about like in the New Testament when like Jesus referred to like the Canaanite women as like a Gentile dog and stuff, and like the only way like he healed their daughters when she like kind of like almost like degraded herself and like said like, oh, even the dogs get the scraps at the master's table. The masters in this situation would be the Jews, obviously.
Well, that's still at a period when the church is the nation of Israel. And so Jesus doesn't call all Jews, irrespective of their living, righteous. In fact, he spends most of his time rebuking the Jews and actually saying that there are Gentiles that are more righteous than the Jews. This happens multiple times in the book of Luke, which enrages the Pharisees to want to kill and to stone Jesus. But it is still the case that the pagans are also filthy pagans. So Jesus says that the Pharisees, who are self-righteous, are actually worse than the pagans and the sinners and the degenerates. But he spends his time not trying to convert Pharisees, but trying to convert people like that. So it is still the case that she is an unclean pagan person, but by her repentance and her faith and her recognition of her unclean status, morally speaking, that's when she's saved. But this is still what's called the intertestamental period. In other words, it's still the transition phase. So the end of that covenant doesn't occur until Jesus dies descends into Hades, and then is resurrected and ascends. And then it's not even until the destruction of the temple in 70 AD, which Jesus predicts in Luke 21 and Matthew 24, that you have the complete finality of the Old Covenant. After that transition period from the time of Christ's birth until 70 AD, there's going to be an overlap to where, for example, Paul in one situation decides that it's advantageous to circumcise Timothy just so he won't have to deal with opposition from the Jews. And at the same time, they're still pushing at the Council of Jerusalem in Acts 15 that it's no longer necessary to circumcise Gentiles. So that's what's called the transition period. But after that period, if you look at Revelations 1, 2, and 3, Jesus makes it very clear that rabbinic flesh Jews are no longer the real Jews. The church is the spiritual Israel, Galatians 6:16. It's what's given all the promises of Deuteronomy. If you look at the way that Jesus in Deuteronomy talks to the Israelites and he says that there's blessings and cursings, those same blessings and cursings are applied in Revelation 1, 2, and 3 to the 7 churches of Asia Minor. He says, if you do this, you'll be blessed, you'll overcome, you'll sit with me, judging the world, etc. If you fail, then you are subject to the curses, just like all the nations are. So in other words, it's a both and not a neither or.
Don't you think, like, I know this is kind of different, but it's so similar, like when you guys call yourself like the new Israel, like the true, like this, like true Jews, like that kind of sounds like the black Hebrew Israelites, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Well, there's a big difference there. One of them actually fulfills the prophecies of the Old Testament of the Gentile nations coming into the church and becoming the priests, as Isaiah says, and as the entire New Testament says multiple times over, versus a racial ideology that has nothing to do with the Old Testament or the New Testament that was invented by a bunch of black cult leaders about 60 years ago.
I mean, the Old Testament is kind of like a racial ethno book.
Again, you don't really, I'm not trying to be rude to you, but like you have no idea about these topics because there's dozens of prophecies in the Old Testament about the Gentiles coming into the church or the covenant, which conflicts with the rabbinical interpretation. So you have an assumption that the Old Testament is what rabbinical orthodoxy says it is, and not what Orthodox Christianity says.
I know you guys have a different interpretation and stuff.
No. It's not an interpretation. It is, but it's like it's the Christian reading of the text versus the rabbinic reading of the text. So you're basically just telling me that the rabbis are correct?
No, but I mean you understand like that, like the way like the modern Jews think, and like, you know, you always see like the Orthodox, like, and just people online always talking about like the Talmud and stuff like that, like the way they think and like the way they behave.
They who?
Jews.
Okay.
Like the way they behave and think towards Gentiles and the way they act in different nations, it doesn't come from the Talmud, it comes from the Old Testament. Like you have stuff in like the Old Testament talking about how like Jews should like lend to other nations, but they shouldn't borrow from other, that's usury.
No, I already said that there was a time period when those things were allowed, and then there's a time period where they're not allowed. So what you're not understanding is who's the focus of these Old Testament passages. Like all these passages about the Messiah, that's the crux of the issue. So if the Jews are right and there is no Messiah that's come, then they can still be reading their Talmud and their Torah the way they read it. And they read the Torah through the lens of the Talmud, by the way. So that's not false to say that. That's actually true. Because there's a lot of places in the Old Testament that the Jews don't want to talk about. For example, they don't want to talk about Daniel 9 and the prophecies of the Messiah in Daniel 9. And they actually curse Gentiles that read that because it's such a clear reference to the person of Christ born at the time of the Roman Empire. So I think that your assumption about how the Old Testament works is, again, coming from this rabbinic stance. But the rabbinic stance ignores all these passages about Gentiles converting to the Messiah when he comes, and wouldn't you know, that's what happens when Jesus comes. Why would there be so many passages of the Gentiles converting in the Psalms and in Isaiah and in Zechariah, even all the way back in Genesis 12, in the promise to Abraham, that all the nations of the earth would be blessed in his descendant? Why would that happen if the Christians are wrong?
Well, I think the Jews do think like the Gentiles will like come to like the real like.
I know that, but I'm saying that Jesus fulfills these prophecies, and they don't think that. So you guys who are like sort of from this paganish perspective or whatever.
I'm not a pagan, but
you're making the pagan arguments. Like this is from the pagan perspective. Like you guys don't even understand the biblical theology. You just cite the passages from the rabbinic argument and from the rabbinic standpoint. And then you're like, you guys aren't really faithful to the Bible because you don't have the rabbinic interpretation. Well, you're assuming the thing in question, which is whether the rabbinic interpretation is correct. So the question then is, well, who's the Messiah? I mean, the Messiah is said to die and to come back to life. And do you know that the rabbinic Jews say that there's two Messiahs? That's how they get around those passages. So what's more likely, that Jesus is the one that fulfills the passages because he died and he resurrected? Or there's Messiah ben Joseph and Messiah ben David? There's two different Messiahs.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. It just feels kind of like cuck that it's like, I feel like as a Gentile, it's like, you're almost like a second class. You get like the sloppy seconds. Like, I don't know. Like we were like called like filthy, like pagan devil worshippers.
Well, that's because most of the Gentiles were filthy pagan devil
most
worshippers.
of them were. That was actually true back then.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, I don't know.
So you keep saying, I don't know, but like, what are all these passages about the Messiah dying in Psalm 22, 23, Isaiah 54, Isaiah 53, like Isaiah 65, 66 talks about Gentile priests. What are all these passages about?
They definitely sound like Jesus for sure.
Okay. So are you saying that Jesus is a Jewish conspiracy? Is that your view?
No, I don't know if I like hold that view. It's just like, I don't know. I just don't get like why God would like choose like a people like supreme over others and stuff. Like, I don't know. I know you think like, oh, they're chosen to bring in the Messiah and stuff like that, but I don't know. Like, I don't really like that, I guess.
Okay, well then go be a pagan. Like, I mean, that's your choice. You have the, see if you enjoy that world and see if that works out for you. Joshua, what's up, man? Joshua, unmute.
That's such a Father Russell kind of way of dealing with, like, when people bringing objections. He's like, oh, okay, maybe orthodoxy isn't for you.
Well, I mean, it's like, basically, the argument is, I don't like that, that's not what I want. Like okay, well, then this is not for you. And, no, I mean, the New Testament is very clear that there is neither Jew nor Gentile. So all of these arguments are hinged on what was allowed and what God condescended to let Jews do for survival and for the protection of the production of the Messiah. And now that the Messiah has come, it's like, well, but I don't like that he did all that back then. It's like, well, okay.
Well, I mean, obviously, God, the second person of the Trinity, becomes incarnate. He obviously has to be of a particular ethnicity and stuff. So it's like, well, I don't like the region he came from. Like, how is that? I mean, the other thing I noticed about them too, they take their criticism of modern Talmudic rabbinical Judaism, just like you saw with this guy, and they read it in and go, well, the ancient Hebrews must have been the same. So whatever problems people have with Talmudic Jews, they just assume what Jews are today must have been exactly the way they were back then with the ancient Hebrews.
Mm-hmm. Hawaiian Power, what's up?
AJ, thanks for the show today. Two-part question. I was wondering, did you watch Chief of War at all with Jason Momoa's new series on Apple TV, or have you heard of it?
No, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, so Jason Momoa just got done doing like a big budget, Hawaiian history series. But to piggyback on the former questions, it's kind of interesting that's going on in Hawaii right now. Is there's like, because the Protestants came here from New England and basically, converted all the Hawaiians. And now, like, a lot of the Hawaiians are disillusioned with Christianity, being that they see it as what was like the Trojan horse for big American corporate interests to take over. So a lot of the Hawaiians feel, dispossessed from the land and everything else. But like you have all these big shows coming out on Chief of War showing like the ancient gods and everything. So we almost have like this neo-Hawaiian pagan.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I know the. You want to hear my Hawaiian accent? How's it, brother? How's you knows about Jason Brothers?
Oh, yes, cuz that's pretty good, boo.
Yeah. You know Molokai more better.
Oh, Molokai the best, bro.
Yeah, brother. No, but you're correct. It's unfortunate, huh, that there's this push back to the kind of ancestral paganism that because of the problems with Protestantism. So I totally get it. Yeah. Praying for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can understand, like, if you were only exposed to, like, you know, faking gay Protestant Episcopal stuff or something, like, yeah, or evangelical nonsense, like, it may, you might want to choose something like indigenous paganism over that, maybe, because maybe it's, I don't know, but at the end of the day, like, paganism has no ethic. It's just it's just might makes right. So, like, what do you get that's actually better in the pagan world? Unpopular opinion. What's up?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so I am a catechumen, and my priest has recently blessed me for 2 weeks living as sort of monastic in a hut in like a remote place, and he said that I should read some books about some monastic saints. So do you have any recommendations for that?
No, that's not my domain. You should ask him that. But what do you mean he's blessed you for 2 weeks to read? What does that mean?
Oh, so basically,
that
right,
seems
what
odd. That seems odd for a catechumen. I don't understand.
Yeah, well, I read the Life of Saint Anthony by Saint Athanasius.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know if you've read that, but yeah, since I read that, I thought that maybe monasticism might be my path. So I told him about that, and he said, "Oh well, you should test yourself. So
I see.
You should go." Yeah. So just like it's like a test for like 2 weeks, sort of as a trial. Go somewhere remote alone. And he's told me to, look into the lives of monastic saints. So I wasn't sure if you know any books about any. So.
Well, I mean, Life of Saint Benedict is usually a classic or something like what you're already reading. But I mean, I would be catechized first before thinking about monastic life. But not saying that might not be your path. But Clouds, what's up?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hey, I just had another question about knowing God. Last time we spoke, we were sort of, you mentioned the sacraments being like the Eucharist and that, and I just had a question about your subjective experience through your journey throughout Protestantism, Catholicism, and Orthodoxy, being that the only way to truly know God is through the true sacraments. What exactly did you feel that you were knowing when you were driving to the Latin Mass for several years? And what would you speculate that would be?
Well, again, it's the difference between knowing about God versus knowing God. So I can't give you any perfect explanation of the degree of knowledge that Protestants or Catholics have, because it's not all wrong. But there's something missing, I think, is the best way to describe it. So there's something unfulfilling and unsatisfying in the world of Protestantism and Roman Catholicism, and there's no perfect way to encapsulate verbally what that is. It's just something existential that you feel and you sense, and a lot of other people sense that as well over time. And I think that's perhaps the element to which Orthodoxy transcends the conceptual and I can't give you the perfect verbal, abstract conceptual knowledge of what is the thing missing. It's just, there's just something missing. And I think really you don't get a sense of peace until you find it in Orthodoxy. Otherwise, you're always doubting and worried and I don't know if this is right and that. And, I had that for many, many years until, go ahead.
That was a great way to put it. It's the distinction between knowing God and knowing about God. And I remember Metropolitan Jonas said something at one of the conferences up here that was really interesting. And I'm not saying every single Catholic, but the fact this is a phenomenon that why is it in their confession and absolution they feel more guilty?
Yeah.
And when you do confession in the Orthodox Church, it's a freeing, cleansing experience.
Also, these other domains do not really put requirements on you to undergo change because it's difficult. In the world of Roman Catholicism, you just kind of substitute the intellectual scholastic stuff, and that becomes the religion. So you're worshiping the idea of God. In Protestantism, I don't know, your whatever your emotions, your will, will worship, whatever you want to call it. That's what you and the Bible, all you're worshiping the Bible. I mean, it's all like at the end of the day, you're just not getting anywhere. So.
Yeah, don't you find that interesting? That, and not that there are exceptions, but to the rule. But you look at, I look at people who spend time in Protestant, they don't change. They stay basically the same. Same with Roman Catholics. Just at a pragmatic. Now, of course, somebody can go through all the steps and orthodoxy and not change because they don't want it, but that's why it's so important, I think, especially for inquirers and catechumens, to not just read the basics, foundations of the faith, like St. Ignatius and St. Athanasius on the Incarnation and stuff like that, but read the lives of saints. Look what types of people those are. And just how different than they are from the quote-unquote Roman Catholic saints. Doesn't that say a lot about the different types of programs? And Protestants don't even have anything to prop up is like, hey, look at this great example, really, of what's like a bit like a Bonhoeffer, I guess. I mean, I don't even know what Protestants do.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, their saints are just like Luther, Calvin, Bonhoeffer. Like, that's the closest they have to that, right? Cyrus became a member. What's up, man? Let's see. Rudy.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Rudy, I already responded to your question about Eusebius earlier. SLID, $3. Thank you so much. Go ahead, man. What's up? What's on your mind?
Hey guys, how you doing? Jay, big fan. So you're actually one of the biggest, reasons why I left a mega church here in Florida, and I recently just joined an Antiochian Eastern Orthodox church. So still a rookie, haven't gotten catechized yet, but I'm really into like our political situation right now in our country. Like I'm a big politics guy, and just kind of like a 24-year-old Christian. From that perspective, what do you think about like the current environment we're in with Trump and everything? Because I was a MAGA guy, but then I kind of woke up to his financial ties to the Zionists and stuff like that. So what do you think about that? And how do you think I can be involved in hopefully fixing our country for?
I mean, I don't mean to be dismissive or to let you down, but I don't really know what to say about politics and MAGA. And I mean, I think as you get older, you'll care less about politics. It doesn't mean you can't have an effect. I just feel like for a lot of people, politics is a religion. It's their replacement religion. It's an idol. Maybe you can do good at the local level, but national politics is just a lot of theater and WWF, and there might be times where you can vote for somebody who's in Orthodoxy. We tend to say that there's nothing wrong with voting, and if you want to vote for the person that's the best for the church. Otherwise, it really doesn't matter. I mean, as you get older, you're going to just not really care a lot about what's happening in Washington, because it just really doesn't matter. It's like a lot of like wasted time. I mean, other than it being entertaining, I don't really know what. I think people feel like they're involved and they're doing things and they're being informed, and I don't know. It's just, when you get into your 30s and your 40s, you're just gonna, I think, care about other things more that matter more. Chris, what's up, man? Chris, I'm mute. Hey, Jamie, could you bring me that coffee? Chris? Gabriel?
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Yo. Hey Jay. I've been a fan of you for apologetics guy.
You cut out.
And
can you start over? You cut out.
okay. I just turned on my data.
You're cutting out, man. Can't hear you. Maybe come out and come back in. Sean? Sean, you want to unmute?
Hey, what's up, Jay?
What's on your mind?
Hey, man. Question. I don't know if Jamie is in the room, but how would I lead my wife to maybe going to an Orthodox church? I've been in a choir now for a couple of months, and she's like, Protestant view. Grew up Protestant her whole life. I grew up Catholic, so I'm familiar with praying to saints and things like that. So, how do I get my Catholic, my non-traditional Christian wife to go to a Orthodox church?
Well, there's no magic formula. I mean, I would say, rather than trying to debate whether just, try to, in covert ways, get her to come to church with you. And usually women connect with other women or the beauty of the liturgy, that kind of stuff, praying together. That probably has more of an effect than like refuting her, her presuppositions. Nick Bucci, $2. Read the life of Saint Yakub. Yes, that's the patron saint of this channel, is Yakub. He is our creator. William Money became a member and says, how does the essence-centered distinction let us share in divine life without losing the creator-creature distinction or making grace into a mere symbol? Well, the essence-centered distinction is the only way theologically to keep the creator-creature distinction and not make grace a creature or merely a symbol, because Jesus says in John 17 that he came to give us a share in the glory that he had with the Father before the foundation of the world. So it's a real sharing in God's glory and immortality, and glory and immortality are not creatures. God's glory isn't created. So the only way to maintain the distinction is to distinguish God's grace from his divine essence, which no creature ever partakes of. So we never become the divine essence, but we do really partake of divine glory, hence the essence-centered distinction. And there's no other church or position that holds this view. Only the Orthodox view holds that view. We never cease to be creatures, by the way, right? So remember, the model of deification and theosis is the incarnation. When Jesus became incarnate, John of Damascus says in book 3, chapter 15, that the uncreated energies and immortality and grace deified the human nature. This is also the teaching of the Sixth Ecumenical Council. But it never ceases to be created. So created things can maintain their creaturely status and become immortal. We become sons of God by divine grace. And yet we never cease to be creatures. That's the Orthodox view, modeled on the incarnation. Jesus' human nature, although fully deified, never ceases to be created. But it really does participate in uncreated grace and immortality. and glory. That's the mystery of the incarnation that Orthodox theology balances, maintaining divine simplicity and God's imparticipable nature versus his participable uncreated energies and grace, and yet we always remain creatures. That's Orthodox Christianity, and only Orthodoxy has that balance. Protestantism teaches a version of created grace and Jesus fulfilling the covenant of works and created merit. Roman Catholicism teaches that supernatural grace is a created substance, accident in the soul. It is the grace itself is a creature. So both positions in all of Latin Christianity have failed by teaching that grace itself is a created reality. Huey, what's up?
Hello.
Yep.
Oh, what's going on, dude? My bad. It was like the space was having you talk, and then I guess it like loaded real quick. No, I was just joining. I like what you're doing in here. I think it's real cool. What would you do about somebody who like comes from like a Jehovah's Witness background? Like, where's a good place to get started? Like, if you want to try to find like the truth.
Yeah. I have a good talk that is really good for JWs, and it's about the Trinity and the deity of Christ in the Old Testament. And of course, now I can't find it. Here it is. Is Jesus God? Is God a Trinity? This talk right here is really good for JWs because it kind of circumvents their terrible New Testament arguments by just going to the Old Testament and showing that Jesus is the God of the Old Testament. He's Yahweh, he's Elohim, etc. And the Trinity is in the Old Testament, and so that's totally kill shot for JWs. Josue.
Hello?
Yep.
Hi, I'm a catechumen in my Orthodox church right now, and I'm just recently became one. And I have a lot of Protestant friends that recently I told them about my conversion, and now they've been berating me for a lot of questions. And one of the arguments that we had recently was Mary's perpetual virginity. And basically he's saying that he's open to the idea that Mary did not have other children besides Jesus, but he finds the assertion ridiculous that we know that she didn't have sex with Joseph, or at least didn't have marital consummation.
Mm-hmm.
So
watch my video that I did on Mary and Mary as the Ark of the New Covenant, because I think once we understand the importance and exalted status of her role, it begins to make sense why it would no longer be violated, or that it would no longer be, that she would remain that pure status. Also, Ezekiel 44 is interpreted in part by the church fathers as a reference also to Mary, because she's also the new temple. And the king passes through the gate of the temple, and yet the door is never opened or shut. So there's a miraculous, mysterious statement in Ezekiel 44 about how the prince, Messiah the prince, passes through the gate of the temple without it being violated or opened. So it remains that way. So typology is key, but also read St. Jerome's essay on the perpetual virginity. It's an all-time classic for this topic, and it's also not very long. Gabriel, what's up?
Hey Jim, does my mic even work now?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I've been a fan of you for 5-6 months, and I know that you're like an Orthodox Christian apologist. And I was just wondering, what exactly can a 15-year-old sophomore in high school do to help maybe defend the Orthodox Christian faith in the future?
Well, it's a good thing to desire that, but remember to be catechized and brought into the church before worrying about defending it, because we got to undergo a kind of a process of healing first before we try to go heal everybody else, right? Jesus says, physician, heal thyself. which the city says to him, you will say to me, physician, heal thyself. What you've done in Capernaum, do also here. Same principle is true. Like, we got to be healed first before we try to go fix everybody else. And we're never going to be perfectly fixed in this life. And yet there is that has to happen first. So great question. Glad to hear that you're moving in that direction. But focus on those things first, and then the apologetics and all that will come in time. Don't panic. What's up, dog? Rhapsody says for $2, do Orthodox sacraments make you know false gods? I would say actually in the Orthodox Church, yes, you do get the gift of discernment. Not everybody necessarily gets that gift. Discernment is one of the spiritual gifts. So you could definitely pray and ask for that gift. And I would say, yeah, like eventually there is a recognition and a discernment that you get that the other religions have what St. Paul calls dead works. So they don't produce the actual intimate knowledge of God. They might produce knowledge about God or facts about the Bible or whatever. But again, there is that ineffable that's missing. What's up? Unmute.
What's up, Jay?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
I'm just curious if you have any interest in a unification theory, or if the church has a unification theory.
I don't know what you're talking about. You're cutting out. Unification theory. What is that?
Yeah, so in science, unification theory, so the theory of everything. Unifying all.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Unifying everything? How?
Like through theology and science, or philosophy and science. Just kind of bringing.
No, I would disagree with that, but I'm not sure what it is. But you're cutting out. Judeo jalapeno. What's up, man? No, I'm not blind. I'm wearing glasses because, number one, this light is bright. I get tired of staring at computers all day, and I don't like the look of the reading glasses. They're dorky. These are actually magnification cool shades, so that's why I'm wearing them. What's up?
Hey, Jay, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I just had a quick question. So from the first guy that came on asking about the Serbian church and blah, 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 I've been going to a Greek Orthodox church for like a year, but I'm planning on moving, so I'm probably not going to be catechized in this church. But if I was to sit down with a priest of the church that I'm going to be moving to in that area, what type of questions do you think I should ask for, some to kind of discern whether or not they're ecumenist vibes like Pedophorus and all those guys?
Just ask them straight up. Like, do you support ecumenism? Is Freemasonry good? Is it good to be gay? I mean, just straight up ask those questions. Death culture, what's up? I would be straight up. I mean, I've always been that way. When I went to the Greek church in Nashville, I was just like, is Freemasonry good? They're like, yeah. I was like, see ya. Rhapsody, $2. No, you read that. Murat Akbulut gifted 10 memberships. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Death, you want to unmute?
Yes, sure thing. I got a quick question, Jay. Is how does one get the appropriate or correct interpretation of the Bible when you read and study the Bible? What's the proper hermeneutic? What's the principles behind hermeneutics? And also, do you have a stream or any content, or maybe Father Deacon Ananias, does he dive into hermeneutics?
Yeah, I did a stream 6 or 7 years ago on this topic. I think it was a 2-part stream that I responded to a liberal priest, Father, I forget that guy's name. He used to be an Ancient Faith radio guy. I don't even remember what I titled that. But basically...
Was it Stephen Dammit?
No. No, that didn't have anything to do with hermeneutics. That was just about creeps. Let me think what I titled that.
While you look for that, I'll just give you...
Go ahead.
Hermeneutics always kataholos, according to the whole. And so I'm sure there's even more than what I'm going to list. The ancient records of the church, the canons of the Holy Apostle, the apostolic canons, the symbols
faith, the creeds, the ancient local churches, the ancient liturgies. Also understand terms of the rite of baptism, the sacred ancient prayers, the ancient acts of the martyrs, the synods, the councils, even the historical records. Let's say even Eusebius, even though he's not a church father. Consensus paternum, so the ancient fathers, and the life of the church as well. All of those things form a whole in which Scripture is read properly. And if you take any one of those, and I'm sure there's more that I can mention, but those are all kind of necessary conditions. So if you negate one, I'd also say kind of normative authority, apostolic success, all these different things form a kind of interwoven, kind of cohesive whole that are all necessary conditions, that if you remove any one of those, you don't have the right justification for it. Now, so that means it's possible, and Jay and I did when our Protestants get stuff right, but ultimately we lacked the justification for that because we weren't Catholic, Katoholos, we weren't Orthodox, and so you accidentally get it right. So the whole is always the proper hermeneutics.
Yeah, so the videos, there's a two-part ones. It's responses to Father Stephen Freeman, Orthodox Hermeneutics, Part 1 and Part 2. And I talk about the four senses, the quadriga. We would hold that. Maximus talks about the quadriga. So you believe we have the literal sense, the grammatical historical sense, and then we also have the typological or spiritual sense, if you want to put it into a two-tiered system. Doesn't mean every verse has that, but I mean, most of the basic principles that anybody in seminary talks about that's not super liberal, we would agree with, right? You have to understand the grammatical historical context of who's being talked to, and then depending upon the type of literature, whether it's prophetic literature, whether it's liturgical literature, there's going to be nuances for those kinds of texts, which might suggest things like typology, etc. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you for the response, both of you.
Yes, that is a good question. No, I don't think anybody's ever asked what the proper hermeneutics are. I appreciate that. F797. To the Catholic guy in the chat, why don't you call in if you want to discuss things? What's up, F797?
Hello, can you hear me?
Barely, what's up? What's up? Unmute.
Oh, wait, can you hear me better now?
Barely, what's up?
I had a question about diophysitism, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess my question is, how do you interpret Saint Cyril when he says that there's one nature?
Read John Damascus, where he explains it. That's how we interpret it. Abe, what's up? Abe, I'm mute.
Hey, so Jay, I've been watching you for quite a while. I was raised Protestant Christian, but I've been looking more and more into Orthodoxy, and I guess my question would be, what would you say to help me see that that's a better path, the best path?
What now? I'm sorry.
I said I was raised Protestant Christian, but I've been looking at Orthodoxy. I've been watching you and Jim Bob and Andrew and everyone. And I was asking you, since you're very knowledgeable, what would you say to tell me that is the best path to go towards Orthodoxy rather than what I have done?
Well, I mean, I would just start looking at the history, and I would start with documentaries like the Icon, 7-part documentary. Watch that, take it in, muse upon it. You know, watch, if you have like a Protestant background, watch something like Rock and Sand Talk by Father Josiah. I mean, it really just depends on, you know, how much time and energy you have for kind of studying and researching. So, we got Atheist talking smack. We haven't had an Atheist talking smack in the chat in a long time. I hope you call in. Itike actually thinks that T-Dump won the debate. Okay. Oh, you block. Okay, well, tell me your Twitter handle and I will promptly unblock you. Is it the same as your YouTube name, Itike? Is that a name? Itike, are you from Africa? I will unblock you, brother. Tell me your name and I will unblock you. You can come and refute me. Because T-Dump is the smartest man alive. Remember when T-Dump said that it's true if the scientists all agree? It's like, I feel sorry for people. Like, you guys are so dumb. It's so hard to, it's very difficult to talk to really dumb people. I'll try. I want to. What's your handle? I need to know what it is to unblock you. Anytime I unblock people, though, I usually end up regretting it. Because usually my first inclination was correct. John David Woods, what's up? By the way, we don't have to talk about catechumen FAQ questions. If anybody wants to talk about other stuff, we can. Geopolitics, paganism, feminism, libertarianism. Dude, tell me your name and I'll unblock you. John David? Or Smuggled Cat, whatever your name is.
Hey, Jay.
Uh-huh.
I'm the Watchman Nee Witness Lee cult guy that...
The what?
Called in. The Watchman Nee Witness Lee cult guy
Uh-huh.
that called in.
Yeah.
Okay, so, quick question. When I left last year, I first visited the nearest Coptic Orthodox church near me because the other Orthodox church was a bit further. If I begin being a catechumen, should I continue with the Coptic Orthodox, or should I seek?
No, they're not Orthodox. They're schismatics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's not Orthodox. You have to go to a canonical Orthodox church. So do not go to the Coptic church. Appreciate your call, not trying to be rude, but no. Axel, what's up, man? Etike, where are you, brother? Where are you, Etike? I want to talk to you. We have atheist from Africa. His name is Etike. Etike.
Yo, Joe, can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I had a question as a recently prayed over catechumen. I just wondered about how to explain the necessity of the incarnation. Would we say that the incarnation was necessary to bind ourselves to the body of Christ through his flesh and communion?
I'm not sure I understand the question. I mean, I think it's necessary in the sense that God was always going to become incarnate, even if there had not been a fall, because God always intended to have man participate in his uncreated life and to raise him up to higher and higher levels. But I'm not sure what you mean by binding us to the flesh.
I talked to David Bradshaw about the usage of necessary.
Uh-huh.
And we can say these things are necessary of God as long as we qualify that there's not something behind God that constrains him. Right? So we can say it's impossible, it's necessary that God's right. But the way you say that is, it's not because there's something behind God that's over and above God that forces him to, not lie. It's from God himself or from our direction, right? That if God is always, and I think David Bradshaw actually said that. He said necessary means eternal as well, but doesn't mean, it doesn't, no pun intended, necessarily imply constraint. Does that make sense?
I'd say so. So we would rather say the incarnation was always going to happen for the most intimate communion with God possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wasn't a plan B that God instituted because of the fall. It was always what was intended.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I'm not, preferably not sort of catechumen questions. I'm not mad at that guy, but I'm looking for people who disagree. Raise your hand if you disagree, and you can come on. Were you going to say something?
There's people in the chat that disagree. Bring them on.
Well, I thought so, but that one guy was just trolling because he was like, you need to listen to the wisdom of Tom Jump. That's got to be a joke. Like, nobody actually says that. Rhapsody, no, we did that. D. Stevens, $10. Jay, what happened to the people who died prior to the resurrection? They went to Hades. Jesus preached the gospel to those in Hades. It's called the harrowing of Hades. Do Orthodox and Roman Catholics all agree, or they have differing views? For Protestants and Roman Catholics, the harrowing of Hades basically has no theological relevance. Only the Orthodox Church has really maintained its significance, even though Roman Catholics technically confess that he descended to Hades, but they don't really have any explanation or meaning, or they don't really care about it. The whole religion is just the papacy. They don't care about any of that stuff. Nico, what's up, man? Please don't ask me FAQ catechumen questions today.
Hey, I don't know if it's necessarily a catechumen question. I'm an inquirer, but it's not really aimed at like a dogma or anything of within Orthodoxy. I was watching a DPH stream, David Patrick Harry, earlier, and in the background he has an icon, and it's of the resurrection. Or not the resurrection. It's a icon of the crucifixion, and my mom, who is just nominal, go to a mega church kind of person. I've been slowly like watching videos with her, trying to like introduce her to Orthodoxy as well, and we were looking at the icon of Jesus on the cross, and my mom is under this impression that like Jesus was, he looked like an animal on the cross because it says like he was beaten and unrecognizable on the cross. And she was kind of just saying like that she felt
look like an animal.
Like, so growing up, non-denominational Christian, I probably just being exposed to many people saying things. Is I guess Scripture says that Jesus looked unrecognizable on the cross. Mm-hmm. Like no other man. And so I think like, I guess my question is, do you know why in icons he's portrayed like not so, I guess maybe beaten and bloody, or in this specific icon, like why he would be portrayed as kind of like, not looking unrecognizable, if that makes sense. And I guess I'm just trying to understand.
I think for us, it's the difference between the Roman Catholic attitude. I'll let Father Deacon comment on this because I'm not. There's people who are kind of experts on like iconographic symbology, and Paggio is probably an expert on that stuff. I don't actually know. Other than that, Orthodox iconography usually focuses on the victory of the cross rather than the bloody defeat of the cross. That's more of a Latin Roman Catholic obsession and fixation. Like if you watch Mel Gibson's The Passion, it's like all about that. And it's just not really the Orthodox attitude. It's all about the victory and the ascension and the power and the destruction of death, would be my guess. But Father Deacon, do you know?
Yeah, it's I forget what father, if it was Father Thomas Hopko, said that, Christ does teach us how to live, but he really showed us how to die. And so you have to understand that in the West, they're trying to, whether it's through a kind of realism, portrait exactness, or this kind of glorification of, through emotion to get you emotional appeal of like the horror of, they put that into the, but we're in the East, icons are theological.
Yeah, when you go, that's a great way to put it. When you go to Rome, one of the first things that we noticed, all of us that were Orthodox that were kind of new to going to Rome for the first time, was that all of the art and the statuary is almost it's like Marvel comedic level expressionism and emotionalism and sensationalism. It's vastly different from how
to specifically invoke emotions.
Yes.
And so you'll see in the cross, Christ doesn't look like he's in agony because it's theologically representing that he overcame his blameless past, right? Yeah. He is walking in with courage into death, right? And so how do you display the theology of that? Mm-hmm. You do it that. In fact, we have reverse. The whole art is totally different. Father Vlad's great at explaining this too. Reverse perspective. So in the West, you're a spectator, right? You're viewing, and so all the vanishing lines go to a vanishing point, from out to in to a single point. And that is, right, a spectator, you're engaged in the emotions. In the East, in iconography, it's a reverse vanishing point. So you'll see, rather than like things getting smaller in the icons as you go back, it's actually reversed. So and what that draws is the person into participation. They're not a spectator, but they're intimately in the icon itself, participating in so there's a whole bunch of stuff. You just gotta, it's literally exactly what it says, reverse perspective. Everything in the West is reversed from the East.
That's good. That's a really good point.
I gotta let you go. I gotta go.
Okay, thank you. Elijah, what's up?
Hey man, how's it going?
Yeah.
I just wanted to pop in here super quick and say that, I see some people in the chat, and also this is just a very common thing that Protestants always like to bring up about, the intercession of the saints being all pagan, and you can't, you're worshiping the saints and all this stuff. I only came in here because I just wanted to drop a link to an article that I wrote that's on orthochristian.com that I tackle this topic explicitly through the lens of sola scriptura, to kind of appeal to those Protestants.
Okay.
And I was hoping that you could, kind of look it over, and if it's a good article, maybe you could just throw this Protestants' ways,
okay.
if you want to do that.
I'll take a look at that. Thank you, Elijah. Appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I always tell people, read Revelation 5-9 and look at it from the vantage point of John on earth participating in the heavenly liturgy. And the liturgy of heaven is the liturgy on earth. Thus, they're united. Thus, communion of the saints makes sense. The nexus? Because that's what intercession of saints is, just communion of the saints. The nexus, what's up? Unmute. Again, to people that are asking the Coptic questions, we've already done 3 parts of a long, ongoing lecture series. Just go watch that lecture series with Orthodox Shahada. What's up, man?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm just chilling and drinking coffee and listening to fake AI spy music.
No problem. I wanted to, can you hear me? I want to make sure my mic is clear.
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So I just kind of wanted to, because I have my friend had actually recommended me to you because I disagree with the Catholic or Orthodox position between Mother Mary. And so I just wanted to make sure before we go into this that we have everything defined, everything just kind of correct. In your definition or your understanding, what does sinless mean to you?
It means that she was not subject to, she did not commit actual sin by grace. So just like Adam and Eve in the garden, they also, by grace, did not violate God's law until they willed to violate God's law. So we think that by divine grace, she was kept spotless.
So you have to willfully, do something then. To be able to breach the point of being sinless, it is a willful act, to be clear?
For Adam and Eve, yes. But also, also for a human being, an individual, they're not guilty of actual sin as an infant until they reach an age of accountability and then commit an actual sin.
So she is exempt from that because in Luke, at least from the Greek, what they say is that you, and I'm going to say it in English, but obviously it is you who are highly favored or you who is favored.
Right, it's only by grace that she did that.
Okay, so then now that we at least have the understanding of sinless, then the thing I would like to know is that if for some reason there's a silence within the scripture of her sinlessness. What I mean by that is the Bible never once calls Mary sinless. If she was meant to be exalted uniquely, scripture would have explicitly stated
No,
it.
that's your
Now,
assumption.
this is,
That's your presupposition.
well, no, because again,
Well, yeah,
the whole,
it is.
The whole factor, I mean, I didn't interrupt you. I don't know why you're interrupting me.
Well, I'm just pointing out that's your assumption in the argument.
But it's not, though, because
But
again,
it
you
is.
can look through the Bible. So,
But that's
okay,
your
so-
assumption that the Bible gives us a totality of how the church does its worship and praxis, and I don't accept that assumption.
Right, and so because the only authority you have by that is the church.
Well, no, that's a false either or, because the church and the Bible and the tradition and the synods are all authorities.
No, because again,
What do you mean,
have to
no?
remember,
I'm telling
if
you
it
my
was-
position.
I understand that's well, no, the position was about sinlessness. Now we're actually trying to get into something.
No,
that's
because it's
actually
two different.
objective.
It's two different paradigms. I don't have the same paradigm as you as to what constitutes the Word of God. I don't believe that it's only written. In fact, the Scriptures themselves talk about the oral Word of God also being the Word of God.
Yes, nobody has said that. Basically, the whole point is that if for some reason it's different from the Trinity, because the argument you can make is, when is it explicitly said the Trinity? When has anybody said that, or when does anybody refer to God as that? But God already referred, Jesus Christ already referred to that within the book of Matthew. He said, "You shall be baptized within the Son, the Father, and the Holy Spirit." As
Baptized
for Mary, you
within,
have nothing.
or in the name of.
Sure. That doesn't really matter, but anyways.
It does matter
as
because those
whenever-
are two different.
Yes, okay,
those are two
okay.
different phrases,
So
and also
for
the doctrine.
Mary-
The doctrine
for
of the
Mary,
Trinity
so
is the doctrine
is
of the
this the
Trinity.
steamroll that
All
we're
right,
gonna
here we
do
go.
now?
It's not gonna. You're not gonna do this.
So,
Nick, what's up? If you want to have an actual exchange back and forth, we can. You're not going to get to just preach for 20 minutes without me replying. Nick, what's up?
Yo. Hey, what's up, Jake? Can you
Yep.
hear me? Thanks, brother. Hey, so happy you have me on the show, man. When you mentioned riff tracks earlier, that blew my mind. I can't believe you watch riff tracks, but I'm coming to you today from
Why?
a bank. It's just obscure, man. I didn't know you rolled like that. It's quality stuff.
I do my own riffing, so of course, yeah.
Yes, amen. Hey, I wanted to, I know it's not on the title, but I want to know if you want to talk about Gnosticism for just a moment.
I mean, are you here to debate, or what do you mean?
Well, in a sense, I mean, it's not necessarily an argument, more of an inquiry, right? I think we both agree Gnosticism is fake and gay. But I think there's a propensity for people to call out Gnostic heresies on things that are maybe borderline, or maybe they're just a little bit too trigger happy to call out things that are authentically within the gospel and yet have Gnostic tinges to them.
Like what?
Well, would you agree that the secret mystical knowledge, or gnosis, as they say, is that gnosis is reserved for the elect? That's a hallmark of a Gnostic heresy. That their secret knowledge, it's for the elect. That's Gnostic heresy. Would you agree with that?
In a general sense, but I mean, even just the word gnosis, I mean, that's used in many church fathers in the East because it just means knowledge, or those that have knowledge. So there's a true sense in which there's true Gnostics who are the Orthodox, and then there's the false sense in which there's the many sects that Irenaeus talks about in the first 200 pages of Against Heresies that follow all these different so-called secret teachings. So in that secondary sense, yes.
Well, secret teachings, right? And yet in Luke 8:10, it says, "To you it has been given to know the secrets of the kingdom."
That's
of
why
God.
I just made the distinction that I
Yes,
just
okay.
told.
We're on the same. Yes. So I don't think there's a disagreement there. I just hope that highlight that, the Gnostic heresies that we rightly point out, they do have precedence to some extent, largely in John, the Gospel of
Well,
John.
no,
but
the
also-
Gnostic heresies don't have a precedence. They read into those passages what they think those passages mean. And what I just said is Jesus talks about the mysteries of the kingdom, and he explains that those are like the parables and the Gentiles coming into the church. Those are the mysteries of the kingdom that are given to the apostles, and the disciples, that the Pharisees and the Jews don't understand and can't understand. It's nothing to do with aeons and the pleroma and all this stuff that the Gnostics say.
Yes. Okay. Well, then maybe it just ends there, because I think that's really what the conclusion, at least I've come to, is that all of the extra lore and everything is obviously useless. But I at least have some understanding for the like obviously dualism, they take it too far, but there's actual scripture that they're basing it on. They just would go off the rails.
I mean, again, it's just like the guy that called in a minute ago who says, well, Mary isn't, spotless because there's not a scripture text that explicitly says this about her. And it's like, that's an assumption that the Protestant sola fide or sola scriptura rule is how we go about determining doctrine and praxis in the church. And so when I start to question the assumptions, he's like, no, I'm not going to stop talking over me, blah, blah, blah. It's the same situation here. It's like, just because there are passages that talk about the mysteries of the kingdom, or Paul uses the term mysterion, the mysteries of we call the sacraments the mysteries. Oh, well, the ancient mystery religions called their initiation rites the mysteries. Oh, it's the same word. I guess it's the same thing. It's just the word concept fallacy. Reformed Catholic, what's up, man? Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, just got a couple questions for you. One of them being like a geopolitical question, and then another one kind of getting to feminism for a second. So I was listening to a conversation you were having with Sovereign Bra, and I watched the debate with Mystic Patriot, which that goober's hilarious.
Yeah, he's awful.
I
understand like why do any of these people have an audience at all? I don't understand how people can be so dumb. I just don't understand it.
It makes me wonder. It makes me wonder if it's like a psyop or something.
But then again, I think maybe there's some element of that going on. These people are pushed. But then again, like, dude, half the callers that call in that disagree, they can't process like words having multiple meanings. So like we're at like mass. We're at like critical mass of like dumb, because like I mean, you would think you could understand like the word kid can be a goat or it could be a human. It doesn't always mean the same thing. Mm-hmm. Do we understand that, people, about language? It's just crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna get worse too with a lot of like the Gen Z. Like,
and AI, relying on AI. Yeah.
There's actually a really funny YouTube video of a comedian guy where he goes up to a high school and he talks in their language, like the Gen Z language, and he just rips them a new one. It's actually kind of hilarious if you ever want to check it out.
Yeah, what is it called?
Let me see if I can pull it up. I'll send it in the chat or whatnot. I'll DM it to you. Here's my question. So I have a couple of buddies of mine, and I tend to lean this way, just out of curiosity on your perspective on it. Have you ever read the works of William Guy Carr? I think it was like a Canadian or British intelligence guy. You ever checked it out?
I mean, that's like old school boomer era conspiracy stuff. I'm familiar with it.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think, I hear a lot of people, especially in truther communities and stuff like that, we'll talk a lot about, the Patriots in control, there's a plan in place, things like that, referring to Trump and things like that sort of mentality. Do you think on the geopolitical stage, because we know with like the Rothschild banking systems and the different deep state paradigms, do you think that there is a counter push against a lot of that? Like, do you think there really is a contingent of individuals, maybe groups of individuals, who are actively seeking to overthrow that system, whether it's the fiat system, whether it's the central bank system?
There's not a secret cabal of people in the establishment, no, but there are. All the people that are public are the ones that are trying. Joe, what's up? Good question. But none of this Q-tard crap or Nasara, older boomer era conspiracy, that's all fake. What's up, John? Joe, I mean.
What up, man? Just wondering, what's your perspective on Coptic Orthodoxy? You did mention something about it, but I wasn't really sure what you were saying.
It's schismatic, it's heterodox. We have multiple talks on it, but thank you for your question. The people that disagree, you're welcome to come up to the head of the line. Anybody disagree, raise your hand. Derek, what's up? If you want to call in, you can. Derek, unmute, and then you can call in through Twitter. What's up?
Hey, can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Hey, Jay. So I was a JW for 30 years. Scamdemic kind of woke me up, the way they handled that. But, with every good con, there's truth thrown in there. So I was just wondering, when it comes to the identity of God and Jesus, what do you think about Colossians 1:15? You don't believe that that's identifying Jesus as the firstborn of all creation?
That's just talking about his status as resurrected. It's not talking about his eternal status like John 1 does. And all the Old Testament passages identify the Son as Yahweh.
But wouldn't the expression being the firstborn of the dead be an expression that relates to his resurrection?
Both of those phrases, because he's the firstborn of the new creation. So he is, and then he's called that in other passages as well. So
where new?
Huh?
In the Greek.
No, I'm not saying in Colossians he's called the new. Colossians 1 what?
1:15. He's the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation.
Right. By being
by
being the firstborn son and being resurrected, he is over all creation. That's why Hebrews 1 calls him the creator of the angels and not therefore a creature.
Well, you quoted it as firstborn over, so you think that's a genitive of subordination instead of a partitive genitive?
I'm interpreting it in light of all the other passages and not your Jehovah's Witness interpretation of the passage, because in Hebrews 1, he is called the creator of all the beings. How could he be the creator if he's a creature?
Well, first we have to establish if he was created. If he was
in
created,
Hebrews 1, is he called the creator of the worlds and the creator of the angels, and thus is he superior to the angels because he created them?
Well, the whole point that Paul was making was he was trying to establish how Jesus became better.
In Hebrews 1, is he called the creator of the... All right, so you're not going to answer. You're just going to...
No, he
is... no. Let's get out of here, stupid heretic. Zach, what's up? You notice they won't ever go to Hebrews 1. Because he's called the creator of the angels. And they're like, but he's also the created angel. What's up?
Hey, I don't know if you're taking, it's kind of a basic question about John 6. Is that all right to ask you?
What?
What's the Orthodox position on when Jesus says, I am the bread of life? Is that a literal or metaphorical interpretation?
He's talking about the Eucharist that he's going to set up that we eat. So he's talking about literal, the bread of life. Just like they ate the man in the wilderness, we will eat him in the Eucharist.
Like that.
You're cutting out. You're cutting out.
I'm sorry.
Hebrews 1:8.
I guess I'm just wondering.
Go ahead. You're wondering what?
I was just wondering. In John 6, why is it literal? Why is it literal instead of metaphorical? I'm not saying in the text.
Because the rest of the Bible interprets the passages in John 6. I don't go to John 6 and just decide, oh, it's symbolic, because in other passages he's called the door, so it's symbolic. I look at all the other passages that enlighten me and tell me what he probably means in John 6, not in isolation. So in all the other passages that talk about the Eucharist and feeding on him and eating his flesh, drinking his blood, and participating in uncreated glory, as John 17 says, I know that when I go back to John 6, I read it in the light of all the other passages that inform me that it's not metaphorical.
I'm not sure I would agree with that per se, because I mean, a lot of the texts of the Bible, they were circulated on their own. They were not circulated all together. But also,
what does that have to do? What does that have to do? What does that have to do with how we do canonical interpretation? So, the fact that they're circulated separate doesn't have anything to do with whether or not there was a holistic, once for all faith, as Jude 3 says. And in divine providence, the texts were collected together. And we know that this is the faith of the early church because the 1st, 2nd, 3rd century church fathers all teach that it is the real presence. None of them teach a symbolic view. Why would they have all had passed down to them right after the death of the apostles a faith based on the real presence before there was even a collected Bible together?
Well, first of all, I think you might be presupposing univocality, which is something that I don't agree with. I think the scriptures are
Presupposing
open
that
to
where?
contradicting themselves.
Huh?
Just as with the assumption that all the texts would agree with each other. That's one assumption I don't hold.
I'm saying that first, second, third century church fathers who don't even have all of the texts have a unanimous interpretation of the real presence.
And even then, though, that also seems like an argumentum ad populum. Just because many people believe something, that doesn't mean that's the correct
that refutes
interpretation.
your point that it's not true, because I'm arguing that why would it have been handed down across the board to believe in the real presence if in John 6 Jesus wasn't teaching that, if that wasn't his intention for his church. So I'm not arguing that's true because they all believed it ad populum. I'm arguing that proves that that's what's handed down.
Well, right, but the thing is, I'd like to know what their reasoning was behind it. Like, sure, I'm open to believing that it was passed down, but again, I'm more concerned about whether it's true or not.
Okay, well, at that point, then we're not really debating about the claims of John 6, but whether religion itself is true, God's existence. I mean, that's more fundamental than this.
Well, I believe in God. I'm saying I'm specifically asking about John 6. I believe in the God of Israel.
Well, the God of Israel is who?
I mean, Yahweh is how he's often referred to.
Okay, and is he what, Unitarian? Are you Jewish? What?
I mean, I believe in the Godhead. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Oh, okay. Well, you don't believe in the God. Just see, here we go. Thank you. So you believe in and worship a man who was a man that became God, and it was a creature, right?
No.
No. Well, that's Mormon doctrine. What do you mean?
That's Mormon doctrine.
What?
No.
I mean, I've got Mormon doctrine by Bruce McConkie right here, and under the entry about God the Father, it says that very thing on page 278. So what do you mean?
Okay, well, Mormon doctrine, that book, Mormon Doctrine, is not the source of all Mormon doctrines.
Can you name a Mormon who doesn't teach the Adam God doctrine?
Who doesn't teach the Adam God doctrine?
Yeah, this is fundamental to Mormonism. The Book of Mormon teaches this.
Where? Where does the Book of Mormon teach the Adam God doctrine? Okay, I'm just want to make sure it wasn't cutting out.
Hold on one second. My print is tiny.
All right.
Excuse me, it's Doctrine and Covenants. Excuse me, I'm wrong. It is not Book of Mormon, it's Doctrine and Covenants.
Okay.
Do you believe that?
What passage are you referring to?
Well, according to Bruce McConkie, it's in multiple passages of Doctrine and Covenants, including 130:22, 93, 21 to 23.
Let's take a look at 130:20.
What?
Is it again?
What,
this
dude?
Issue,
why are you debating me on your like? Why are you acting like your church doesn't teach this? Everybody knows you guys teach this. What are you talking about?
Actually, it's a very common misunderstanding, and I think I'd know my own beliefs.
So you know it better than Bruce McConkie. Because I mean, he teaches and is citing right here the Adam God doctrine, clear as day.
I would disagree with that, but even if that
so wait a minute,
doesn't make it the belief of all Mormons.
Well, is it in your teachings or not? Is it in your books?
The thing is,
do you follow the King? Do you follow Joseph Smith's King Follett discourse?
That's not a canonized doctrine of our church. Okay. I'm sure this one's in it.
So Joseph Smith's a prophet, and he can what? So those are false prophecies, or what? When he says that the Adam God doctrine there.
Well, again, it seems like you have assumptions of univocality and inerrancy.
Okay.
We reject.
So retarded. Goodbye. This is the dumbest. I'm losing patience with dealing with these people. I mean, what's funny is that, like, most of the Mormons that come on, they defend the eternality of matter and the Adam God doctrine. Like, we've had multiple debates where they defend it, and then this guy comes on and says it's not even our teaching. I was like, what? What's up, man? Jim? Let's read Bruce McConkie, which I've never heard a Mormon say that he's not official Mormon doctrine. Father in heaven. God the Father is an eternal, exalted, perfected person with a body of flesh and bones. Doctrine and Covenant 130:22. It's so weird too. Cult people just lie all the time too. They'll just lie and lie and lie, and then act like. So what? God the Father is a flesh and bone body. Okay, there's that one. All men, including Jesus, are his spirit children with pre-existence. Doctrine and Covenants 93:21. I was in the beginning with the Father. I am the firstborn. All those who are begotten through me are the partakers of the glory. Ye are in the beginning with the Father. So this is talking about all the people being pre-existent souls with spirit bodies, or excuse me, spirit children. Book of Moses 1, 2, 3, and 4. It is only by understanding the literal sense in which God our Father is our literal Father and brother and the brotherhood of man. It's the Adam God doctrine. What are you talking about? Pre-existence of souls. God is a glorified man. Book of Moses 6:57. Is this right? 6:57. God is a glorified man. God the Father is a glorified man. Teach your children that all men must repent, or they cannot enter the kingdom. No unclean thing. For in the language of Adam, man of holiness is his name, and the name of the only begotten is the Son of Man, who will judge and come in the meridian of time. Man of holiness. God is, in the language of Adam, the man of holiness. And the name of his son is Jesus. According to Bruce McConkie, this passage is saying that God the Father is an exalted man. Matter is therefore eternal and self-existent. So, you see, I mean, this is an insane cult. I'm asking for people who disagree, so I'm actually glad that those people call it. King Anime, what's up? The chat is saying that we got a lot of former Mormons too, and Orthodox, and they're saying this guy must be a new convert because he doesn't know anything. What's up, man?
What's up? So I wanted to talk about Israel. A lot of people claim it's a genocide. They seem to not understand the definition of genocide. So, definition of genocide is the deliberate killing of a large number of people from a particular nation or ethnic group, aiming to destroy that nation or ethnic group. So, being that there's Arabs in Israel living there peacefully, this wouldn't qualify as genocide. Plus, the nation of Palestine, there was never a country of Palestine, before, the British took over. So, and also the British gave the Palestinians Jordan. So there was never no nation of Palestine that was destroyed.
What is what is the rabbinic Jewish philosophy about Amalek?
So it's based on the Bible. When God told them to destroy Amalek.
But how come the Bible says that Amalek was destroyed?
How come the Bible says Amalek was destroyed?
Yeah. Where's Amalek now?
Well, they've been the people of Amalek have been assimilated into.
Well, how do you know that?
They've been mixed in. Well,
how do you? So you're saying the Orthodox Christians in Palestine are Amalek?
Not necessarily. Because there are verses after the situation with Amalek.
There are what? Verses?
Certain, certain verses talking about people actually surviving. That was there. That was
like
supposed
what?
to be, because I think that whole thing was hyperbolic, right?
What was?
The whole Amalek thing.
You don't think there was an actual
when
king?
God told.
So did the Israelites? Did the Israelites in Joshua and later on in the other books, when David conquers the land, did they not fulfill the promise or not? Did God give them the land, and were those promises fulfilled or not?
Yes, but they didn't push out all the people like they was commanded to. Those commanded.
Well, how come there's some passages that say that that the Jews did take out all of the enemies, and none of the promises failed to be kept? Are you an evangelical? I'm confused. What are you?
No, I'm a Orthodox inquirer, so I'm not a catechumen or anything like that.
Well, why are you teaching why are you teaching Zionist? Why are you teaching this Zionist stuff?
No, I'm not teaching this. I'm not necessarily. I don't necessarily agree with.
You're teaching rabbinic philosophy. So what do you mean? You're saying that the enemies of the Zionist Jews are Amalek.
No, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is what's happening right now in Gaza is not a genocide. It's factually not a genocide.
But I asked you why, when the rabbinic philosophy argues as it does today, even Netanyahu talked about Amalek, and that cleansing Palestine is the fulfillment of getting rid of Amalek. I'm saying, how is that not just repeating rabbinic philosophy?
Well, Netanyahu making claims is, given that Israel's a democracy, is not indicative of the whole country. And plus, here's the major thing about that.
What does that? But that doesn't prove that it's not That doesn't prove that it's not a genocide. What does democracy have to? What? How do you know it's not a genocide?
Well, Netanyahu is just one person, so he can't solely decide what to do. So even if
your argument was that Amalek doesn't matter because they've mixed in with the people groups. So does that mean that they are Amalek or not? I'm confused. Okay, man. You want to be a Zionist? You go be a Zionist, man. I don't like whatever, dude. Jim John, what's up? Jim John, unmute.
Hey Jay, I was wondering about the theory of evolution and what do you think the strongest defeater for is, in your opinion? Something I'm just trying to learn about.
No one has ever observed the transmutation of one species into another.
So basically, because it's arbitrary,
It's like magic or something.
Okay.
It's like sci-fi.
Alright, that's the only question I had for now.
Okay. All right. If you want to like and share. Here you go. By the way, it does... I would like to say I've not watched that interview with Mother Agape or whatever, but she is actually a schismatic, which is interesting. She is a anti-Rocor schismatic, and the fact that she's Stephanopoulos' sister is very sus. So I'm not following his line of argumentation, because he's like, well, it doesn't matter what Netanyahu says. That's the basis for the actions. So what do you mean? If he says it's getting rid of Amalek in our garden, and then you're like, it doesn't matter what Netanyahu says. I think it does matter, because he's like leading the charge. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm so tired of like these dumb arguments, man. People are just fucking dumb, dude. Straight white male, $5. Let the Mormons cook. I'm trying to be accurate here, dude. So I'm just like, I don't understand what people are saying. And it's like that JW guy. It's like Hebrews 1 says, to the Son, your throne, O God. It calls the Son God, you idiot. Yeah, but what about Colossians 1? Yeah, I mean, I don't know why... I didn't even hear the end. I don't have time to hear everybody else's podcast. Like, who has the time to do all this, by the way? She said is Hamas aren't Islamists? That's pretty wild. Like, I'm not defending the Zionist and Israeli positions, but like, why would you... I don't understand. Like, the people that are chosen as the voices of these positions, it's just like, what? If you want to come on and make an argument, please do so. I've not eaten for a while. Maybe my blood sugar's getting low. Let me see if I have a ginger chew. No, I'm not. I don't actually support ginger chews. First of all, because they have a lot of sugar in them. But they do calm my stomach at times because of the ginger. Yeah, I'm not sure why we're listening. I mean... Yes, I said the F word. What you're welcome to leave. I don't care. I'm not a Puritan, teetotaler, holier than thou person that thinks that words are magically evil. So please leave. Nick, what's up? Please don't ask me FAQ questions.
What's up, Jay? I popped in a little bit earlier. I wanted to see if you were taking questions outside of debates now.
About what?
Well, I wanted to ask about kind of what I've been seeing on the books whenever you were showing them earlier. I noticed that you always have these papers sticking out, like I'm guessing they're sticky notes or something. I don't know if you've ever talked about your note-taking system, but I'd be really curious to like how you're...
There is no system.
Oh, okay, so it's just whatever pops out for you?
Yep.
All right, cool. That's all.
Sorry to disappoint. People ask that all the time. I'm not mad that you asked it. It's just like, there is no system. It's just summarizing what's important on that page. Teodoro, please don't ask FAQ questions.
Hey Jake, how are you?
Good, what's on your mind?
So you mentioned that you don't want the catechumen FAQ, so I'll try to mix it up. More often than not, you posit the transcendental argument for God as the best argument for God, and in all of your debates, this is the most prominent one.
Yep.
What do you think is perhaps the second best or other great arguments for God?
Well, I don't see any other way around using the transcendental argument, because if you try to go with the other ones, they're going to assume the things that modern philosophy calls into question. So past the year 1500, I really think that tag is the most important to addressing the skeptical and the scientism and the atheist accusations. But I guess you could say like things like fine tuning and those kinds of things, which are just variations on design argument. But what I would say is like a better approach would be to make a transcendental version of the teleological or cosmological arguments. So good question. Christopher Scott, $5. Thank you so much, dude. Coast Stay, $1. My friend is an ex-Muslim. He asked about Cyril. Confused by your answer. My answer is to go watch the streams that we've done with Orthodox Shahada on Cyril. We provide college course level lectures for you guys. Go watch those rather than calling in and asking me the same question 100 times over. Chase, did you want to babble? I know you like to come on and babble your gibberish. Feel free to. We're, I guess, towards the end of the stream here. Now is the time for the babbling gibberish section of the show. Oh, and now he runs. You guys saw right here, Chase Haggard scared to come on. Oh, spoke too soon.
Yeah, well, I see you're already trying to poison the well.
I'm just trying to cover up for the fact that I'm scared of Mormons and I have to run away from the Mormon debates and Jehovah's Witnesses debates.
You know, the sarcasm, your audience is starting to see through it, okay? We know what you're trying to dog whistle with your ginger chews and ask for espresso. So are you going to actually address the issues, or are you going to keep trying to just deflect?
What? I mean, why can't I just admit that I'm scared? Being afraid of debates and being afraid of you is a natural human reaction. Like, so what? All right, I'm afraid. Fine, you got me.
Okay, so you're actually going to address the issues?
Yes.
Okay, so how do you know that God thing is real when my great-grandpa taught me about how there used to be peace across the Earth Nation, Wind Nation, and Air Nation until the Fire Nation attacked?
What if I appeal to vibes? Because vibes.
One second, let me... Grok's not working. I don't really know how to respond to that.
Try ChatGPT. It's quicker for debate.
Okay, one sec. Just hold on.
Are you still studying under Erudite in your debate skill research? Or is that
supposed to be an insult?
You're an understudy. No, no, you literally debate like Erudite.
Bro, I'm wrecking you so hard right now. The whole chat knows I'm wrecking you. I can't see it, but I can feel it.
Look, I don't mind losing my second debate. I lost a debate the other day to the NASA guy. He proved that I was a shill for NASA.
Wait, what was that? I missed that.
Oh, you didn't see that?
No, I missed that.
Yeah, I lost
I've been busy dealing with the flood stuff.
No, I lost the debate to the flat Earth dude saying that I was a NASA shill, and I admitted it. I came out as being paid by NASA.
That's all he did, though, was just you're a shill, and that's it.
Oh, he went off for about 5 minutes, and I was like, yeah, dude.
I hope someone clips that. That sounds great.
He already clipped it, so.
Well, I just wanted to come on and have some fun. I'm just dealing with the flood stuff. So I'll pop out.
Oh,
and go back to
I'm
listening.
sorry. Yeah, actually, it sounds like you were kind of put under some biblical level curses. Sounds like maybe my sorcery worked. Maybe you don't want to mess with me again. Just saying.
I apologized to you for the curses that me and Father Ananias were putting on you. You gonna apologize to me?
Why, if I'm in a position of power, aka sorcery and magical power, would I apologize to you when I cause through magic your basement to flood? That's a warning to you.
That's a warning to you.
I don't know why you're laughing. I'm glad you think this is funny, but yeah, keep laughing. Keep laughing and see what. Let's see what sort of ritual magic spells we're gonna do next time on you.
Well, the power is out now, so. All right. Well, I'll just go back to listening.
That's probably the best. That's probably the best thing for you right now is to just listen.
Well, I already won. I just had like 10,000 super chats.
You can tell yourself that, but listen, when a black woman is speaking, aka me, I think you know where to be, and that's in silence. What's up, man?
Yeah, what's up, Jay?
What's on your mind?
Did you see that God Awful or any of the clips of the new War of the Worlds movie?
I saw people making fun of it, and we were laughing at it in the Sam Hyde chat. I saw the trailer, and I thought it looked like the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Do you know what the premise of the movie's about?
Ice Cube is watching Zoom calls at the end of the world.
Yeah. But like, do you know the data? Because I actually think you would find it interesting. Maybe on the more dissecting what the film and its messages, but basically you can't make this up. So Ice Cube works as a DSA agent, right? He's like DHS agent.
Oh, I thought TSA would be okay.
No.
Funnier.
That'd be even funnier. No, but he's DHS, so he's sitting in his office, and the entire movie is in that type of theme as you know those movies from the mid 2010s where it was just webcams and screens.
Yeah, that's what I got from the trailer, right?
Yeah.
The whole thing is
So
basically
it
Zoom
does not-
calls. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just that the entire time. But the premise is that in this War of the Worlds universe, because obviously this is like the same rehashed aliens, except for this time they came for data.
They came for data?
Correct. Yeah, it's really stupid. It's so... I actually think you should
Wow.
watch it.
I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, Rotten Tomatoes is totally like woke, but this is one of the lowest ratings I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was like 3% or something.
3%. That's crazy.
Yeah. So basically, the internet, you know, the whole concept is that we're all being watched and the government's watching us. But the guy who plays like Special Agent whatever in the Marvel universe is an army general or something who wanted to start a super secret thing called Goliath, where they mega track our data. So then, even though he knows that for some reason, they don't quite explain why.
Mm-hmm.
These aliens are data hungry. He's just going to launch the super surveillance program anyway. And then the aliens are like, oh, thanks, bro.
Wow.
They show up to take all the data.
Oh man, I mean, I wouldn't even waste. I'm not even going to waste time with that. But yeah, thank you for alerting us to the new stink bombs that are out, guys. This is your last chance. Actually, no, I got to call it a night because Jamie is doing a stream. What do I think of Western Right? There's a clip right here from 10 days ago on the J. Dyer archive, one of the great clips channels, many excellent clips channels rolling ML 5.0. So you can check that out. Guys, remember, head over to chalk.com. That is the show sponsor. Use the promo code JAY40 to get 40% off all those great Chalk products. And we got a few sassy weirdos tonight, so that made it fun. We had a JW and a Mormon. Always fun when we get them weirdies calling in. Weird beards. Chalk.com. Remember, that is the show sponsor. Also, you can use promo code JAY44LIFE, J44LIFE, to get 44% off. If you want to get started with Bitcoin, I have my Swan Bitcoin link in the show description. Use that to get started. It's a Bitcoin-only company you can transfer. Oh, wait, there was a Bitcoin question real quick towards the end. Somebody said about Bitcoin. Somebody sent me a super chat, and it was a link. I can't pull that up from here. AI Slop Enjoyer, $3. Thank you for that. Where was that Bitcoin question? I think they were asking me about whether to do cold storage or to do leverage trading. Theos is $2. Do you stack Bitcoin in cold storage or leverage it? I stack in cold storage. I wouldn't fool around with, it's too valuable to do too much gambling with. If I was to do any gambling, it would be with a very small percentage.